This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome on the back of the largest safari vehicle on the planet on this beautiful summer morning here in the African bush. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. And a very good morning to all of you and welcome on the Sunrise Safari. And it feels so good to say that once again. My name is Jamie. This morning I have VM on camera with me. Tayla is out with Zander. And we have a fantastic morning safari planned for you. We're coming to you live from Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserves in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And not only are we live, but because we're live, it means we're also interactive, which means that you can send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And I have to tell you, as wonderful as the extended night drives were, and they were wonderful, it feels so nice to be out in the bush in the morning. It is my favorite time to be out and about exploring. There's always that sense of excitement and the mysteries of the night unfolded. That was a hyena, not a leopard. Thought I saw a leopard track, but it was a hyenas. And we are on our way towards the Nkuhumas and their adorable little cubs. Having seen them acquire their hard-won meal, it'll be nice to go and see all of the cubs gather together, perhaps see if the Birmingham boy is still with them. All in all, I'm pretty excited about this morning. Let's see if we can't find any leopard tracks as well. I know that Tayla and Herbert is also out. Herbert is our wonderful tracker. They're busy searching high and low to see whether or not there's any sign of the Queen of Djuma returning once again. Feels like it's been a long time since we've seen Karula. In fact, the last time I saw her, she was being chased away by baboons, or chased away by the presence of baboons. And for those of you who are new to the safari experience, Karula is a female leopard. And the Nkuhumas are a lion pride. Just to clarify for those of you who are new to this whole experience. And unfortunately, no broadcast from Kenya anymore. But I'm sure that Master Henry will be returning with all sorts of exciting tales to tell you at some point in the next few days. The new Mara expert. And despite the threatening sky over the last few days and predictions of rain, we haven't actually had a drop. It's still threatening though. The sky feels heavy enough that perhaps we might have some rain. Unfortunately, I think it's starting to break up and burn off. But at least we have had some, and the green flush is definitely showing through now. The bush has transformed in the last 7 or so days. When was the rain? It was Sunday last week, yeah. The bush has transformed in a week. Absolutely amazing. And all the animals have gone into hiding. Except for that little steenbok over there. Hello, little boy. Definitely. Oh, bye-bye. It's okay. Oh, there we go. Relaxed again. Definitely one of my favorite antelope to start off with. The smallest of our antelope species. And definitely one of the prettiest. It's actually quite a large male. Despite not being larger than a small dog breed, no, not much larger than a small dog breed, that's actually a fully grown male. And those are his fully grown horns. Not to be underestimated. Oh. Fair enough, I suppose it is early in the morning. Going to sleep, mister? Yep. I'm going to go and hide behind this tree and go to sleep. So as I said, the dagger-like horns not to be underestimated, and they do use them to clash fiercely with other males in the territory that have entered into their territory. The females also fight, which is something is hard to imagine because the female steenbok don't have horns. But apparently they do fight off other females when it comes to defending their territories. So males fight off other males, females fight off other females. Can you imagine watching... I've never thought about this before, but I've never ever seen two female steenbok having a bit of a box. Might be fascinating to witness. We're going to trundle along to the lions. We'll spend a little bit of time with them. And then afterwards, my plan is to try and find out what has been smelling so bad off Gallagher Shortcut. I'm starting to wonder whether or not it wasn't that injured buffalo that Tayla spent a little bit of time with not too long ago, but something has died around Gallagher Shortcut and we haven't found it. And there's hyena tracks absolutely everywhere. Unfortunately, before the hyena fanatics like myself get too overexcited, unfortunately they all cross constantly backwards and forwards from Manyeleti. So our hyenas are not back. They're just spending quite a lot of time on Djuma, and I think it's because of whatever's there. We might have to go and find, perhaps we might even find some very fat, well-fed hyenas. Why are those impala running like that? They look quite frantic, and there's no reason for them to be because there's no vehicle. What's going on? No, there's a reason for this. What was that all about? They haven't stopped either. It might have just been a panic, but the fact that they haven't, they usually panic and then stop. If they hear a strange noise or something like that, I wonder if there's no wild dogs around. That would be an exciting way to start the morning. That'll definitely change our plans. They're gone. It's like they weren't even here. What on earth was that all about? Let's just stop and listen for a second. Now that's the one animal. If it were a leopard or a lion, the impala would immediately have started their bah! They're sort of, I think Taylor's described it best. It's like popcorn kernels popping, their alarm calls. The one creature that they don't alarm call for is a wild dog. And it makes me wonder whether or not there aren't wild dog dashing about. Or you've got to have eyes in the back of your head if it is wild dog. There's an impala dashing behind me, but it didn't look quite so frantic. What was that about? I didn't see anything. I'm trying to have my head on swivel. I'm going to hang around here for a little bit and just see whether or not the wild dogs don't come dashing across the road. In the meantime, let's head across so that Taylor can say good morning to you all.
Good morning everybody and welcome to another cloudy sunrise safari. My name is Tayla and on camera with me this morning I've got Zander. There he is everybody. And I hope you all had a good night's rest, or if some of you are just going to bed, I hope you're going to have a good night's sleep. And we are currently doing a boundary patrol everybody. We are trying to see if we can see any leopard tracks that are perhaps coming into the property. Now the only thing I've spotted so far are some old leopard tracks, what look like to be from yesterday, and I see that one of the trackers, one of the rangers already got out to check it. That's why I think it's from yesterday, because we are most definitely the first ones out this morning. Ah, look, some impala. That's nice. Hello impala. Seen any leopards this morning? They're quite rude. They never respond when I ask questions. As you can see, a lovely breeding herd of impala, all using the luxury trend now. Yesterday we watched every single lion use the luxury bathrooms, and now this morning it seems like we've got the impala doing the same thing. But they're a little fluffed up this morning, and these impala are not darting around like Jamie's impala. But it is a bit chilly. You could, if I'm not mistaken, it was 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've all got our big jackets on, our socks pulled up. No gloves and hats though, it's not that cold, and I suspect that it's going to warm up. Now, I did check the weather this morning. Not that we can predict weather in South Africa. Don't worry, we can't do that here either. And they said there's a 40% chance of rain. Now, there are a few daunting clouds, but the rest of the clouds seem to be opening up quite nicely. You can actually see how the light is changing so quickly. And all the birds are starting to chirp. It's beautiful. There we go. You can see how the clouds are breaking up now. But I do hope that we get some rain today. I'd be quite happy with that. But during drive, so it can pour with rain now, and then it must stop for this afternoon's sunset safari. Like I said yesterday, it's been pouring with rain in the southern sectors of the Sabi Sands and the Kruger National Park. But the wind died down, and it didn't quite make it to us. Lovely impala. All got their heads down, eating those lovely new grass shoots that we've all been chatting about over the last few days. And I know for those of you who have been following my photo of the grass that we've been doing over the last few days, I apologize. I haven't been there twice. Yesterday, I got so caught up with the lions because they were just so fantastic that I couldn't bear to leave them. And I think that you would all agree with me. So possibly this morning, we will have to go there at some point just to do a little snap and just see how the grass has gone. It will be quite nice to see what 2 days of grass that's been growing looks like. It should be almost a carpet of grass. But I think all the animals are looking a lot happier. The fact that they can now eat this lovely grass. And it's almost the length where the elephants are going to start pulling it out the ground as well. So that's going to be fun to watch, especially the little ones that haven't been able to learn how to use their trunks just yet. I think that could be quite entertaining, trying to pull the short grass out of the ground. But I think let's carry on. Let's carry on with our boundary patrol to keep looking for a spotted cat. And perhaps we'll even see a hyena along the way. I've been seeing a lot of hyena tracks. We normally see them going along the boundary roads. And I'm also looking out for any hyena pastings. So the way hyenas actually will leave a scent behind. They defecate, but they also do an anal pasting, and if we can find one of those, that'd be quite amazing to see, quite special. Now I'm so glad I've been able to put my spotlight down now. It's quite difficult to track when it's dark, so I can see a lot better now. So please excuse the power lines. This is one of the things you have to bear with when we are driving on the boundaries. But I haven't seen anything, not anything just yet. But also listening out for any alarm calls from the birds, from the impala or bushbuck or anything really. And I haven't heard any of those yet either. Where are you? We haven't really been seeing too many leopards. I know Jamie had Tingana the other night, and now since then he's disappeared as well. So hopefully we're going to get something this morning. I'd quite like to see a leopard, and preferably one that doesn't disappear after 5 minutes like I had the other evening with Tingana. As beautiful as what he is, I didn't really get a good look at him. Oh, Herbie's looking for me. Right, let's go to Jamie. I need to have a little chat with Herbert. Maybe he's found something for me. Go, Herbie.
Oh, I mean, if ever we needed an indication that perhaps there was something here, the collection of white-backed vultures is a very, very big clue. Of course, we know that the lions have a buffalo carcass underneath this tree, but it makes for quite a striking picture. How many vultures can you fit on one dead tree? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And one starling. It looks very, very tiny and out of place. Don't you find birds amazing when you look at the vast difference in the different types? Such a contrast between the little passerine that is the starling and then the massive, bulky vultures sitting on their dead tree. Right, well, I suppose without further ado, let's go and have a look at what they're all patiently waiting for. By the way, nothing emerged out of Buffelshoek. I sat there for a while and waited, and nothing happened. So I don't know what it was that scared those impala like that. But once we're finished with the lions, I'm gonna do another circuit of Buffelshoek cut line and just see whether or not there's any wild dog tracks. They just looked so panicked. Now, Red, on the subject of our panicky impala, before we get to our lion kills, good morning to you and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. The reason that impala don't alarm call at wild dogs is the fact that they don't have time. They really don't, because of the way that, the contrast between the way that wild dogs hunt and the big cats hunt. Sorry, vultures, good morning. Sorry. Hello. I'm sorry, there's no other way for me to go. Oh, wow, well done, VM. Awesome. Sorry. So, Red, with impalas, with wild dogs as they race, that's actually a beautiful sky. As wild dogs race after impala, they don't hunt by ambushing. So, an alarm call can ruin a leopard or a lion hunt because it's basically drawn attention to them, and the impala know that they can outrun them if they have enough warning. But for wild dog, they don't know that at all. They just know that they have to run and run and run and just hope that they don't get unlucky. And one sighting immediately springs to mind with one poor pregnant impala. It was not my sighting, it was James's. I don't remember who was on camera with him. But this poor impala ewe obviously couldn't run anymore. And wild dogs chase down their prey. They've got incredible stamina and they exhaust them. And this impala ewe obviously just couldn't run anymore. And she just ducked behind a bush. She ran and then just ducked and went flat. And somehow it worked. Please don't defecate on my head. Hello. Gosh, I was here the other night. I can't even remember where the buffalo kill is now. Somewhere here. Yeah, it must be there. Yeah. Oh yes, because that's the apple leaf that the cubs were climbing. I saw that video, it was amazing. Hello, little ones. Oh, jackal. Black jackal. There's an animal that we don't always get to see. How awesome is that? And they are such brave little scavengers. I'm actually going to sit here and let this jackal relax a little bit, and perhaps it'll go back towards the lions and their kill. Because it's fascinating to watch the interaction of these cunning little creatures. Basically the equivalent of a coyote or a fox. Tiny little dog-like, well, actually basically dog. Hello. How cool is this? We hardly ever get to see jackal. And watching them interact with lions or predators on a kill is always fascinating because they are very, very brave. And they'll go forward and they'll steal from right next to the sleeping predators. Come on, jackal. The lions are just there, feeding off the carcass. There they are. Cubs tucking in with mom. Ah, this could be awesome. Little cub decided had enough of buffalo breakfast and would like to wash it down with some milk. Thank you very much. Mom not terribly keen on obliging. Where did our jackal go? Keeping an eye on him. I really hope we get some interaction here. Where did it go? You got it there, Vim. Oh, well done. Yes, we see you. That is such a nice surprise. Okay, I think our jackal's settled down. Oh, if that yawn is any indication. So let's sneak a bit closer, and then we'll wait for the jackal to do the same. And they're such comfortable little creatures. And this one I can see is relatively comfortable with vehicles. And James Richards says, yay, a jackal. one of his favorites. I know they're your favorite, James. I know Aaron also loves them. It's wonderful to see them again. There we go. Looking for all the world like a fox with their large ears. This is definitely not a view that we get to enjoy all that often, so let's just enjoy it for the moment. I wonder if it's a male or a female. It's a boy. Having a casual scratch behind his ear. I wonder if there's any more in the area. Trot, trot, trot. A very easily identifying nick off the top of its right ear. Look at that bushy tail. It's okay. It's alright, buddy. Now, for some reason, it's an animal that we don't often get to see, which is why we are so excited about this particular sighting for new viewers. And they are incredible little creatures, amazing opportunists, scavengers and predators in their own right. And they live together in little family groups in monogamous pairs. Doing a circuit. It's going to keep circling us, I think, and going to keep circling the lions. You can see sniffing. It knows the carcass is there. It knows the lions are there. They live together in monogamous pairs. So this male, that's why I said I wonder if there's any others around, since this male might have a mate somewhere nearby. I've seen jackal walk right up to lions before, and hyenas, and just nick tiny little scraps of their carcass. They know that their reflexes are very, very quick, but the one disadvantage that this little jackal has, and I'm not too sure which lionesses are there at the kill, but when we do get close, it'll be nice to have a look. I want to know if the young lioness is there, because the young lioness will be the biggest threat to him. Young lions, particularly young male lions, but young females as well, and we've spoken about this before, often are more inclined to chase away little scavengers and other competition. There's just something within them that is still learning, and they still entertain themselves. Oh, look at that. It's scent marking. That's very interesting. Is it scent marking or having a scratch? Or did it just accidentally walk into a bush? No, I think that was very deliberate, and I think it is scent marking. They must have preorbital glands. There might even be a really nice smell on that particular tree as it's rubbing on itself. And hyena do it, wild dog do it, and so do jackal. Whenever they come across a tantalizing scent. Oh, what gave him a fright? I wonder. I think he might have been rubbing himself in lion urine. I think one of the Birmingham boys might have scent marked there. For some reason, the canids and the hyenas like to be smelly. Lions do it too, and leopards. It's one of those curious things of animal behavior. So cool. That jackal's going to stick around. It's moved off a little bit for now, and we'll reposition to get a better view of the lions. I'm just watching it one last time. I just want to see where it goes before I reposition, because I think it's making a beeline back to do a circuit around the carcass. Sue, you wanted to know which type of jackal I said it was. It is the black-back jackal. We get two species here. We get the black-backed and we get the side-striped. You can see where the name black-backed comes from. It's got almost like a saddle effect on its back with the black and white fur. Of course, now you can't see it at all, or only just see it. So, Sue, this is the black-backed. The side-striped is more uniform in color. It's a sort of a greyish-y color with a whitish stripe or a slightly lighter stripe running along the side of it. And they're slightly bigger, but I mean barely. There's a hardly noticeable difference between the two different species. And it's amazing that they coexist pretty happily, And although they're in competition, they don't seem to be terribly bothered about sharing a territory, and they don't seem to interbreed, despite the similarities between the two species. Okay, now we've got an opportunity to go and spend a little bit of time with these wonderful lions and keep a lookout for that jackal. Hello, guys. That's acquired quite the smell. Hello, lioness. Here we go. This gives me a nice perspective of the surrounding area, and keep an eye out for the jackal as well. There's some very full lions here. Not all of them are here though. Aha! I see the others. Sorry, while ours snack on the buffalo carcass, they're at the back there behind the lioness, playing and scampering about. Tired of breakfast? It's playtime. Plenty of energy. Oh, cute. What are you doing? Little gambling balls of fluff. Always thoroughly entertaining. That's interesting. I'm starting to see the difference in approach between the younger cubs and the older cubs. The younger cubs are playing off to the right, and the older cubs are, as far as I can tell, these two are both from the oldest set of cubs. And they're going to start going through their growth spurt with voracious appetites. And you actually see the difference in their behavior. They're much more aggressive around the carcass. And they tend to be feeding more often. Well, that makes sense. They're getting closer and closer to being weaned, and therefore need to eat as much as they possibly can. And I have to say, having seen this buffalo's demise, watching scenes like this are A, a little bit gross, but B, very, very comforting, because a sighting like that, it's incredible to witness the power and the skill of those lionesses, and their sheer cold-eyed determination when they take down a buffalo is phenomenal. But it's not a sighting that one walks away from feeling very nice afterwards, especially when it's a big buffalo bull, and he fought and struggled so valiantly for such a long time to try and survive. But then to see them happy and feeding with full bellies is definitely a comforting feeling. My dear, you've got breakfast all over your face. And Asher was watching the buffalo kill and says that whilst it was very intense, and very glad that they had an opportunity to watch it and to see the whole scene unfold. We're very privileged to be able to witness moments like that, and it's never easy. I don't think anybody gets enjoyment out of it. Oh, so angry. Such voracious little cubs. Oh, so vicious, with your ears right backwards. The female's so full, she's just panting. It is incredible to witness. It really, truly is. But, yeah, I think we're fortunate to see it, and to see how hard these lionesses have to work to feed their families, and to think that they do that once every 3 days, and the risks that they run in taking down something as massive as a buffalo bull. Broken legs, internal injuries, and lionesses get killed in those hunts, and lions, male lions. It's a very, very dangerous thing for them to do, and yet they have to, especially with 8 hungry mouths to feed. And to see the teamwork involved is also, well, it just gives you a whole new respect for them. It really, truly does. We get to see these, I was going to say tender scenes. I don't think that's perhaps the best description. But we are fortunate enough to witness each and every aspect of the lionesses' personalities, including this one. It's amazing how instinct works. She's not going to attack the cubs. They do occasionally get a smack when they overstep the boundaries, particularly with male lions. But luckily for this little cub, this lioness is quite full and quite tolerant of their endeavours. But it's amazing how vicious they manage to sound. And that's actually, looks like it might be one of the younger ones at the back there. Yeah, so lions' table manners are not exactly very refined. They're not terribly bothered about being covered in carcass, but they will have a... Ooh. That noise came from the cub, by the way. That's how vicious they can be. And it's astounding how at only a couple of months old... so angry. And at the same time, her instinct says that this is probably her cub, or she's at least a mother. Everybody has to fight for their place at the dinner table. And it is truly astounding the noises that the little cubs make. And where are you off to, little one? Sorry, I got distracted. It was one of the younger ones feeding. Are you going to stalk a lioness now? Or are you just going to go and join the rest of the cubs? As appetizing as this is, I might reposition us and go back and have a look at the other little cubs. I mean, I'm sure we're all enjoying it, but hello, old girl. Not old girl, sorry. You're just covered in buffalo. So we've only got 4 lionesses here. I'm going to reposition, go and see what's happening with the other bundle of cubs. Let's head across to Tayla, who is enjoying the signs of spring.
And another flower has bloomed, as you can see. That's one of the things I'm going to be searching for over the next few weeks, are the blossoms that are going to come from all of the plants. Now, we are looking at a plant called a black stick lily, everybody. It's quite beautiful and quite bizarre looking. Another name for it, which is quite common up in this area, is baboon's tail. You can see all of it then. You can see why they would call it baboon's tail, as a very hardy stem. Now, this plant is quite useful if you know what to do with it. So I'm going to just share with you very quickly a few little medicinal facts, as well as some traditional uses. Now, just because I was already talking about the lovely stem, you can see it's quite fibrous. And I know that the locals in this area would use that stem to make rope, as well as to make mats out of the lovely fibers in there. It's quite nice. And now, if you go beneath the surface of the earth, which we can't get to, unfortunately, but if you go down to the roots are filled with all sorts of goodies, as of many of the different plants. But in this case, you can actually use the roots and you can smoke them. I presume that you would dry them, though, and you can inhale that smoke, and that would actually help relieve asthma. Now, it sounds quite bizarre, but I've seen many plants, or read about many plants, where they say you need to dry the leaves or dry the roots and then smoke it to help relieve asthma. Another thing that you can do with the entire plant, which is quite nice, so you're not wasting anything, is if you dry the stem, you dry the leaves, you dry the flowers, you dry the roots, and you smoke it, and you light it on fire and you let it smolder, and then you would inhale that smoke like you would inhale steam, and that can actually help stop a blood nose. Now, I need to keep note of that one. Unfortunately, I suffer from nosebleeds and extreme heat, so this will be a good thing to have around, and actually see quite a bit of it. It grows quite prolifically in this area. That's good to have around. And slowly over the next few weeks, we're going to see lots and lots of flowers popping up. And unfortunately, like this plant, most of the flowers don't last for very long. These ones only last for about 2 weeks. So hopefully there will be some other flowers around. But quite beautiful, isn't it? Like Jamie said, it's definitely a sign of spring. And that we had a little bit of rain. And they're very tough plants too, everybody. They can survive droughts, which they just have, fires, and extremely cold weather, which we sometimes have. We don't really have it too cold out here. But really good, tough, hardy plants. Actually, quite nice ones to grow in your garden. I believe they're quite easy to grow as well. I think they're very pretty. Very nice. We'll have one more look at the flower, everybody. This one's like a slightly different color. This one seems to be more white compared to some of the others that are lovely and purple. Good morning, David. Now, speaking about the drought, David wants to know, how long will the grass and flowers last for if we don't have any more rain? Now, David, it's as quick as the animals can eat it, really. The animals are going to be munching up all this lovely green grass. It should continue to grow for maybe another week or so, and then I don't think the grass is going to get any more length on it if we don't receive any more rain. And the flowers should start popping up. But like I said, the flowers don't normally last very long anyway. So if we don't get any rain, I'm going to have to just give a rough estimation. I reckon about another 3 weeks we'll probably have a bit of grass around, but the animals are going to eat it very quickly. I mean, we've even seen the browsers stopping to browse now and actually pop their heads down and feed on the lovely new green shoots that are coming through. So if everybody does that, they're going to eat it up very quickly. But let's hope for some more rain. Let's hope that we are able to predict weather and we do get a downpour. Even if we get another 10 or 15 mils of rain, that would be amazing. That would push it to probably another 5 or 6 weeks that we'll see a bit of greenery around. But as quickly as this grass grows, it does disappear too. It gets quite hot. Remember, we are coming into summer too. We've hit the first month of spring is almost already over. And once that hot African sun and these clouds start to disappear, that sun is really going to belt down on us, and the grass is going to start to turn a lighter shade of brown and yellow. So animals better eat up quickly, but it's looking lovely. Right, so I think we're going to carry on, everybody. We're going to continue on our search for leopards this morning, as well as hyenas. That would be nice, and I wouldn't mind seeing some elephant. And of course, if there are any colourful things coming out of the ground, we're going to be looking at those too. But if you look up into the sky, you can actually see, look at the clouds. They're opening, and this is the only time you'll hear me say that I want the clouds to form nice and thick and nice and low, dark and grey, so we can get some rain. Now, while I ponder about perhaps doing another rain dance, I think let's go back to Jamie and see what those little lions are up to.
The little lions are currently in the process of bugging Auntie Amber Eyes, climbing all over her. One of them even attempted to suckle. And I must say, she met their efforts with considerable tolerance, considering she's not lactating. She might be pregnant at this point. It's entirely possible, and relatively impossible to say when she's this full. No, little one, you're not going to have any luck there. It just goes to show how incredible the bonds are, even with an aunt and the little cubs. And she's not bothered by their presence at all. Although, admittedly, she's so full, she probably wouldn't move even if she wanted to. And this little one, with its face full of muck, is having a very lazy Monday morning. Not all Monday mornings start off like this, but this isn't a bad way to start, especially when you've got such an amazing pillow. That cub is just a belly with legs and a head. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. Oh, such vicious little creatures. And you? Is there nothing quite like a trachea? It's like... It's like playing with a slinky, except really gross and quite dirty and probably a little bit smelly. Maybe not a slinky. When we were kids, creepy crawlies. I don't know what you'd call them elsewhere, but it's like a creepy crawly pipe. Yes, a pool cleaner, pool cleaning pipe. I know they were invented in South Africa. That's what that reminds me of. Being a kid and playing with a pool cleaner, an extra pool cleaner pipe. We call them creepy crawlies here. I am the master of the trees, sort of. What are you trying to do? Yes, you caught it. Well done. You caught a bush willow. Most impressive. Oh! You're a little troublemaker, you. Oh, my word. Look at that belly. Have you ever in your life? Pinned you. Oh, little one, you've left your windpipe open for somebody else to snatch it now. You've been distracted. Oh, you can see how cross the little ones get. They get so bullied. Not that they don't do their own fair share of fighting back. Which side are you going to come out? Which side are you going to... Ha ha. Oh, now our final cub has returned into the mix, now with a belly full of buffalo and eager to play. We've got 3 males in this group of 8 cubs. Christopher, you wanted to know how old the cub will be before they have to, the males will be before they have to leave the pride. Between 2.5 and 3 years old, depending on the dynamics of the pride and the situation around them. So if there's new dominant males that have moved in, then chances are the young males will have to leave slightly earlier than they would otherwise. If there's lots of males in a group to form a coalition, they might leave at a slightly younger age, just to stay grouped together, so the older males will leave and the younger males will follow them. So if, for example, Amber Eyes and the young lioness have male cubs, they'll probably stay together. Best toy ever. So it's usually when the male lions reach sexual maturity. Ha, I got it from you. It's mine now. Oh, there's going to be tears, or the lion equivalent. Ah, no, distraction. And sometimes they are so like house cats, and others, and at other moments they are so wild and unruly. Look at you, you filthy little creature. You need a bath. A jolly good bath. Oh. Those massive paws. They are so overly large. Ha. Yes, you catch that stick. Show it who's boss. Oh, they are amazing. Ah! It's following me! It's okay. Wrestled into submission. And the trachea is the perfect toy, of course, because it's reinforced with cartilage, so it doesn't break down as quickly as the other things that they might decide to play with. So it makes the perfect chew toy. especially for the older set of cubs that might... Oh! Well, that was graceful. So many attacks from so many angles. VM, can you get that one on the tree there? Or shall I go forward a little bit? King of the castle. I'm just going to reposition ever so slightly just so we can see that as well. Hello. Mother's calling to them. Oh, they're so full. It's wonderful to see. Full and happy and healthy. All of this play is so vitally important in developing those skills that they're going to need in the future. But at the same time, it does provide us with the most entertaining sightings. Not quite as graceful as leopards. At this age, Karula's cubs were racing up and down trees. Okay, admittedly they fell out every now and again. But lions are definitely not quite the accomplished tree climbers that leopards are. Makes for a fun jungle gym, though. Practicing stalking now. GDH would like to know if that pipe was definitely from the buffalo and not from Rusty. Rusty, of course, is one of our vehicles. Well, Judy, the way that I drove Rusty the other night, and don't tell Steph this, please, but the way that I drove Rusty the other night, it was almost possible. But I think in this case, Rusty is all intact and accounted. I did actually, funnily enough, check Rusty very thoroughly after the events of the other evening. We did some very interesting driving, as you may have noticed, and I imagine that Wendy, because Brent was in Wendy, I imagine that Wendy also had something of a tough time. Whee! And the lioness is just standing there going, ooh, ooh, trying to account for all her cubs, but too full to actually go and find them. And they're all just ignoring her, blatantly ignoring her, like errant children, except, no, they're not interested. No, thank you. There are far more important things, Mom, than a bath right now, which is what we know you want to give us. I'm going to play with this thing some more. We know it's a trachea, obviously, because of the rings of cartilage around it. The esophagus wouldn't have lasted this long in the jaws, fierce jaws of the little cubs, especially since they've been playing tug-of-war with it. I want that, but at the same time I don't want to incur your wrath. I'm just going to sit here and make faces. Cup pile. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, and you can't have it. It's my turn now. You had your turn? We spoke about being so excited for scenes like this one. And it's definitely been endlessly rewarding. I still want that. It's the two youngest set, or the two of the youngest of the lion cubs. If the lion cubs are anything to go by, this is The best toy ever. No, it's mine. Okay, maybe they can share. Ha! Outfoxed you. The change of direction. Oops. Well, sometimes the coordination not all there. Back legs don't work quite as well as they should. Fine. I'm going to see what other trouble I can cause. Oh, what was that? Oh, stick. Amber Eyes just watching. Where are you going, little cub? It's just done the most random circuit ever. Looking for something else to play with. The bush willow will do. Ha! Caught it. Whoops. Okay, well, if I can't have the trachea, then a ball of elephant dung is the next best thing. That must be such fun for them in terms of its texture, because they dried up balls of elephant dung quite solid. It's a fun way to practice their technique. Oh, look at that, back legs kicking. Catch me if you can. Taunting the other ones with it. Fine. It's such fun to watch their characters. Look at Amber Eyes. What are you two up to? I think she might even decide to join them, but she's just so full that she can't really be bothered. Oh, that looked sore. They're so incredibly tough. Oh, look at the ears. Ears back. I suppose you really have to learn to share in a family of 8. And the cubs. Oh! You see, she did want to play with them, but she's too lazy to move. Well, since Amber Eyes has settled back down again, let's head across to Tayla, who's got something a little bit larger than our lion cubs.
We are sitting with a little elephant calf, everybody, who's providing much entertainment this morning. Now, there's a few of them around. Let me count them very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's just a small herd of elephants. There seems to be about 6 of them here. Possibly there's some more feeding in the distance. Now, this little one was standing right next to Mom when we arrived, and then decided to move away and is slowly edging closer and closer towards us. Look at this. Every now and then we get a shake, a head shake. Look. You're very brave, and I'm hoping we're going to get a little mock charge from. It looks like a little boy. I can't see too clear. It looks like a young male. Let's have a look. I don't know what's going on there. What's happening there? It's quite interesting. Hopefully this little one can turn around and I can see what's going on. I don't know if you saw that little sort of split No, I don't know if that's an opening or a closing. It looks like a little boy. He's a very round head. But we will see just now. Now he's eating into the trees. Let me go forward just a little bit. Let's see how this little one is going to react. No, not bothered at all that I started my vehicle. There's going to be another little gap we'll be able to look through and watch it stick its head through the trees. You are very brave. You don't mind us at all. You're quite curious, actually. Now, I think this elephant is younger than 6 months, though now it seems to be feeding all right. But we were watching it trying to pick up a branch a few moments ago, and it was really, really struggling. So I think it's possibly maybe almost 6 months old. It takes them almost a year to train their trunks properly. It's tall, but everything else about this elephant is quite small and petite. So it's fooling me a little bit. But let's see. Are you doing well with your trunk now? Maybe you were just putting on a show for us. But this is my favorite animal, everybody. I could spend the next 2.5 hours with these elephants and just watching them feed and go about the dam. I'm quite surprised that they are still feeding on the sickle bush, which is what they're eating now. And there's another elephant, the mother of this calf. She's just to the left. She's still digging for roots. I thought that they would have been going for the lovely green grass that's coming through, but perhaps it is still a little bit short for them to pull out the ground. You can see how she's trying to twist and break that tree and try and pull the roots out of the ground. She's been digging, as well. You can see there's quite a bit of fresh soil out and about on the ground. Very good diggers. There we go. She just kicked a little bit. And I love that motion, how they often kick forward and then they scrape it backwards to remove that excess soil. Very clever animals. Oh, our little elephant is eating the grass. Have a look. Struggling because it's short, so it's quite hard to pull out. Look at this. Yay! The first time since we've had the rain that I've seen elephants eating the nice green grass. Now, that's a good thing for this little one. It's got lots of nutrients and all sorts of goodies. Now you've done. Is it proving to be quite difficult? Don't blame you if you stop. You can wait a few more days. Now he's hiding behind an apple leaf. Yes, it indeed is a little boy. I'm not sure what was going on that little one's stomach. It looked like there was an extra flap of skin there. Maybe it's a bit of a bulge. You're hiding away from us. Oh, we've got another one coming towards us. Look, he's coming up right up to say hello. Hello. They come right past the vehicle. I'm watching you. Even though I'm lying down, I'm still watching you. Oi. Cheeky. That's naughty. Now you notice that this female hasn't got any tusks. She's quite young, and it's quite common to see females without tusks. Now, something that I'm going to ask Eggsy to zoom in on. I think let's try this big female that's feeding straight through here. Eggsy, can you see just above their eyes there's a bit of an indentation on their head? Can you see that? Yes. Now, Bill wants to know, is this indentation that you see just behind their eyes an indication that they're malnourished? Now, Bill, no. This is actually just the skull. And I don't know if you've ever been fortunate to have a look at an elephant skull, and I don't have one to show you, but perhaps you could Google what an elephant skull looks like, and that's just what it is. That's the design of it, and creates these unique features. Every now and then, like humans, every elephant is different as well, and I've seen some of them that have got quite a big sort of forehead. And they look almost very prehistoric as to sort of how the cavemen's skulls used to look. And it's quite funny to see that. So, all slightly different. But a very sharp head, like you can see on this female over here. Very square. So, that's typical of the females. whereas the male's heads are a lot rounder. We haven't got any big males here to show you, and that little one's head is still quite small. It's not very obvious. Oh my goodness. Mom of the calf has managed to pull out a big root, and look at that little one racing in to see if he can pick up on any of Mom's scraps. He's not big and strong enough yet to uproot any trees, maybe possibly a sapling, but I even think that may prove to be a little bit on the difficult side. And now, I think, let's see if he's going to find a little piece that Mom has perhaps dropped. No, nothing yet. Oh, there we go. A small bit. When Mom finishes eating her big branch, this little one's probably going to pick it up and have a little bite on it as well. But I think until this one gets to about 3 or 4 years old, not really going to be able to dig very well. You can see Mom pulling up that root from the ground, and she's just munching on it, stripping all that lovely bark off of it. And I think she's excited that she knows in a few weeks' time she's not going to have to worry about eating that bark anymore. She's going to be able to have lovely grass. And we've been chatting about sort of the preferred diet of elephants, and elephants seem to eat more grass than sort of anything else. Obviously when there's grass around, they'll eat that over anything else. So in the summer months in this area, they're eating quite a bit of grass. About 50% of their diet actually consists of just grass. But now, luckily, they are able to make use of all the wonderful other bits of vegetation that most animals can't reach. Unless you're a steenbok or a duiker, then you can dig a little bit. You dig for bulbs. But nothing, I don't think anything digs as well as an elephant. Oh, maybe an aardvark. They've got good claws. But to be this size and not have any claws and be able to dig like an elephant can dig, I think it's quite amazing. And we haven't really seen the ellies using their tusks very much. Normally it's quite amazing to see them go down onto the ground and sort of dig their tusks in the ground and loosen that hard soil. But I suppose after the rain it is nice and soft, so there isn't really much need for them to do that. But that's always funny when you see an elephant do a handstand. And of course it's not really doing a handstand, but it looks like it. Why don't you go and feed next to Mom? Because she's dropping all sorts of little bits there. But there is nothing better, in my opinion, waking up and viewing the elephants. Justin, you've stumped me this morning. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of what the core temperature of an elephant is. Justin, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one, so keep watching. And I will let you know a little bit later. I'll have to just check in one of my books to just see what that is. It'll be quite interesting to have a look up. I love every now and then getting a question that I'm not 100% certain of. But I'll definitely get back to you. Oh, I hope you can hear what I'm hearing. Now you can see how that female is secreting a liquid from her temporal gland, and you all see that next to her eye there. Now I'm not sure, I can't see that this female has a young, oh no, she does have a younger calf, sorry, it's just moved away now. But possibly it's just due to the stress because of the drought that we're experiencing at the moment. It can normally be from that, or it could be from something like excitement, overstimulation of adrenaline. Maybe she's sad, maybe she's very happy. I just want to move off the road slightly, everybody. Just there's another vehicle that has come through, and I just think that they maybe want to go past. There we go. Sorry, everybody. We've just gone up a little bit of a bank. Just wanted to move my vehicle off the middle of the road so everybody else can go past. You see how they all look? We're going to see an elephant handstand. Can you see that? The little one going down onto his knees now, trying to copy mom. And all the things that these little elephants learn. It's all learned behavior. So that one has probably seen mom do that, but is uncertain as to why she possibly does that. Because I didn't really see him pick up anything. He just sort of did a handstand and then got up again. Let's see if she's going to be able to pull this out the ground. She's been working on this stump for quite some time now. Oh, sorry everybody. Now, we haven't actually been seeing any of these elephants here suckling. They've all been too interested in what the moms have been doing. And I know Daniel wants to know, what age do elephants get weaned? So, Daniel, I'm going to start a bit further back with you. So, the gestation period of an elephant is 22 months. It's the longest for any land mammal. Now, an elephant will give birth and have a calf, and usually anywhere between 3 and she'll have a second calf. Now, so she's basically producing milk almost the entire time. Obviously, as that calf gets to about 3 years old, her mammary glands are starting to dry up slightly. That was naughty. That one stole a bit of root that mom worked so hard for. You can see she's not impressed. She's taking it back. So Daniel, even when that elephant gets weaned at around 3 years old, maybe 3.5, when the mother has another calf, she's obviously her mammary glands are going to fill up again. And I've seen it so many times, and it's often you hear the trumpeting of an elephant or that high-pitched squeal, is because mom wasn't concentrating, and the older calf had actually come through and attempted to suckle again. So even though they were maybe weaned 6 months prior to that, a year prior to that, if there's an opportunity, they're going to try and suckle. Quite naughty. But I mean, who can blame them? Nothing's as sweet as mother's milk. So, yes, Daniel, I would say about between 3 and 3.5. However, they still will carry on sneaking a suckle for as long as they can. So you'll see them trying to catch mom off guard every now and then. Lots of vehicles coming through to look at the elephants this morning. It's beautiful. I don't blame them. Everybody needs to come and have a look. So I must say a very big thank you to Sandy. Sandy, thank you so much for helping me out. I'm in the bush and I can't ask Google. So I was going to try and read the answer. But Sandy says that the core temperature of an elephant is about 36.2 degrees Celsius. So thank you very much for that, Sandy. I'm going to add that in my notes about elephants. Let's see. Here is elephants. Let me write it down very quickly. I'm gone quiet because I'm writing and I can't multitask too well. Fairly well. There we go. Now I'm done. Thank you, Sandy, for that. I really very much appreciate that. That was a nice question that Justin asked. So Justin, I hope you were listening and you heard that Sandy helped us out there. Now, you can see his female was flapping her ears every now and then. It's not particularly warm, everybody. It's warmed up a few degrees Fahrenheit, but not very much. So I don't think she's flapping her ears to try and keep herself cool. I think there's obviously a few little midges or flies that are harassing her. So she's using her ears as a fly swatter. They're loving this tree. It's safe to say that this tree is no longer living. They have completely pulled it out, almost pulled it out the ground and eaten most of the root system. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the elephants. We're going to see if they're going to hang around and possibly we'll be able to see them again. But I think Jamie's managed to spot that naughty black-backed jackal again.
I went on a little journey away from the lions and their cubs to go and see if I could find a male lion, and I found our jackal once again. And he's just lurking. He's doing a very, very good job of staying at a safe distance and circling around and round this lion kill. You can see he's just waiting for the opportunity to have a meal. Listening to the calls of the lions, making sure at the same time that he's not going to accidentally stumble into one that's perhaps lying away from the kill. You've got to be careful. You never know where there might be a lurking lioness or a male lion. Apparently, I was told that there was a male lion somewhere here. Really lovely question from James Richard, who's been doing some research into jackal as ours climbs a termite mound, and that is that he's read that jackals keep small caches of food that they then return to later. You wonder if this is true and if it's area specific. I'm not so sure about it being area specific, but I know it is true. So they will keep little stashes somewhere in a nice safe place. It's a difficult thing for them to do because obviously there's always the risk of another scavenger coming across it, and they can't hoist it into a tree like a leopard. I'm going to go back while I answer this just to see if we can get one last view, because our jackal's getting a little bit closer to those lions. So it is true. They'll find a nice bush or something similar, or perhaps a hole in the ground. They won't bury it necessarily. I've never seen them bury it. Why are you so fast? Too fast. Wait. Wait. I don't want to rev too high and scare it away. So we'll just meander slowly. Now, they definitely do keep stashes of food. What would be interesting... Would you pick a direction, mister? What would be interesting is to see if there's a difference in the species that do it. I imagine... The lions are just there. I would imagine that... Careful, mister. Protective lionesses and cubs there. I would imagine that it's something that you probably find more, just speaking about area specific, probably something that you find more in arid areas where food is harder to come by. I think that probably would bias towards favors of keeping food stocks when they can get them. And bear in mind, a lot of animals do that. So leopards, obviously, that's the most obvious, by putting it in a tree. Hyenas also do it, often by dragging it into a water source, a water hole, something similar, or a mud puddle. And they basically let it just soak and rot. But it's a good hiding place because it hides the smell of the carcass, which unfortunately I'm smelling quite well here. Hides the smell and it keeps it out of sight. And then you watch them go and collect it as they go and sort of stick their heads underneath the water to grab the carcass that they've stored there. Plonk. This is a jackal that's been around the block. He definitely knows how to play this situation. Just trying to see. We can't... To give you an idea, he's probably about 40 meters from the carcass. So not far at all. You might find that the lionesses are a little bit more protective because they have cubs with them. As I said, I've often seen jackals sneak up to carcasses and grab something, and the lionesses barely even bother to lift their heads. But that might not be the case in this situation. Although the chance of a jackal killing a lion cub is next to nothing, they generally are not going to take any chances. I think it knows that. But you can see why there's so many stories about the jackal being the cunning creature that tricks all the animals. And Aaron in New Zealand, one of the things I know you know that I've been dying to get on camera is jackal pups, because they are just adorable little bundles of fluff. And you're wondering what the mortality rate is of jackal young. I don't know the answer to that. I think it is very largely dependent on the circumstances in the area that they're in and the concentration of other predators and other competition. I've seen jackals successfully raise 5-6 pups at a time. So you're probably actually looking at quite a low mortality rate, depending on if they get lucky or not. The things that might prey on a jackal pup would be something like a leopard, maybe even one of the smaller species of cats, although I think that's quite rare. The one thing that they do that helps to keep their young safe, similar to hyenas, is they den in places like termite mounds. So the babies are kept safe and protected with bolt holes that they can return to. And then, of course, with the added advantage, you'll probably find there's a higher mortality rate where it's just a male and a female looking after the pups, as opposed to when they have older pups that are helping them look after the young. That's one thing that jackal do very well. They form those tightly knit family groups, and the offspring from one generation look after their brothers and sisters from the next. You'll probably find that the success rate is dependent on the number of babysitters, or the mortality rate has an inverse relationship to the number of babysitters, if that makes sense. Just lurking. I don't think this jackal's going to be brave enough to approach those lions just yet. Looking for an opportunity, but not quite brave enough. This is very, very cool. We are going to be leaving the lion sighting. There are other vehicles that would like to come in and join us, but we can trundle along for a bit. There was, as I said, apparently a male lion somewhere on this road. So we'll leave our lions as the other vehicles pull in, and we will go off in search of other things and then come back here a bit later, see perhaps whether or not our jackal has had any success in terms of sneaking forward for food. He might get lucky in that the cubs might have spread some scraps. Right. I'm going to go search for this male lion. In the meantime, let's go back to Tayla and something that's almost as big as Amber Eyes' belly.
Almost, Jamie, but not quite. So, this female over here, Eggsy, kindly pointed out to me, she's actually being a bit of a bully. Now, this is not the same female that we saw earlier that was pushing the tree around. This is another female. Now, she seems to be much older and much larger than the other one. She came over and she pushed her out the way, and then she took over that tree. Now, let's see if we're going to see that same bullyish behavior that she did earlier. Here we can see they're about to surround another vehicle. No, I think that other female's quite clever. She's keeping her distance now, and she keeps pulling her calf away as well. Now, they live in a family group, but sometimes you can find that there can be a little bit of friction between a few females, and that seems to be the case here. I'm not sure why, but she keeps doing the same thing. Everything that the female that we first saw feeds on and pulls apart, this other female will come through and push her away from it and then start eating on what she was eating, which I think is a bit unfair and a bit selfish. I think you should work hard for your own food. You're going to push that tree right over. Now, I'm not sure what she's going for. If she's going to go for the bark here, or if she's going to try and uproot this tree. At the moment, she just seems to be trying to snap a branch. So possibly she's going to just break it and then pop that entire branch in her mouth. But it's a very flexible tree, as you can see. She's having much difficulty trying to pick that up. Now she's grown bored of it and is moving away. And the little one, are you going to copy Mom? Or did you also think that looked too difficult? No. Now we've got another one who's still having lots of fun with this tree that one of the adults had pushed around. Now, little one, I don't think you're quite strong enough to pull that out the ground just yet. It's that female that hasn't got the tusks. But you can see the adults did all the hard work. Now this little one can come in and eat all the leftover roots. We got a nice little bit there. Yeah. Oh no, that doesn't look too tasty. No, I would also maybe spit that out again. A little bit of bark. Look at this. Are you going to do a handstand for us? Yes, we're going to see an elephant handstand, everybody. Now, you see what she would normally, if she had tusks, this would be a lot easier for her because she could just wedge her tusks on that tree and then use the force, like almost like a pitchfork, and pry it out of the ground. Now, Ken from Oklahoma, good morning to you. Thank you for watching us today. Now, Ken wants to know, why aren't the elephants eating the lovely leaves that are on the trees? Ken, unfortunately, some of these leaves are very high in tannins and aren't very tasty. They're actually quite bitter. Now, too much tannin for an animal can actually cause tannin poisoning, so they'll only eat small amounts of it. I just want to say good morning to Rex. Hello, Rex. Who's driving past. Now, Rex and his tracker James has left the vehicle, and we've also got Herbert out there this morning, and they're trying to follow up on some leopard tracks for us, which is quite nice of them. So I'm going to have to say a big thank you to all of them. So Ken, that is the reason why they're not really eating the leaves at the moment. Now, because in the winter months, most of the trees store their nutrients below the ground, so a lot of these trees lose their leaves during our winter, and all those nutrients are being stored in the roots as well as in the bark. So that is why for the last couple of months we've been seeing them digging up all the trees. You can see, like here, trying to snap that root, and there's quite a lot of moisture in those roots too. Now, when they eat the bark, earlier we saw this female strip a small piece and sort of shake it and then pop it in her mouth. Now, the layer that she's after in that bark is called the cambium layer, and that is the layer where the nutrients are transported from the roots all the way to the top of the leaves on top of a tree. Now, that's what they're after. They're not really after the dry, hard bits. They prefer those nice juicy bits. So when we see all the trees that have been pushed over, most of them have been pushed over in the winter months. And I don't like to think of elephants as being extremely destructive unless they are in a confined space and they haven't got enough area to roam around on. However, this is not the case here. They are purely pushing these trees over 90% of the time for food. Occasionally you get the big bull that's slightly frustrated and will turn to a tree and then push it over. But then I'm sure he eats on it afterwards anyway, so it's not all waste. But they really have spent quite a bit of time digging out the entire root system of this tree. So we've been also chatting about, we actually were chatting about this a few days, and I know not all of you are fortunate to be able to watch this show every day. We were chatting about how elephants' teeth wear down, and I just want to very quickly get the name of who's asking. Oh, never mind, I remember. Sorry. So sometimes when we are watching the elephants, they pick up a branch or a bit of grass, and you often see them give it a bit of a shake to try and get rid of that excess soil, because that can obviously wear the teeth down, and obviously it's not very tasty. Now, this will be relevant. I know it doesn't sound like I'm making any sense, but I Walk in the Rain wants to know, how much salt do elephants need on a daily basis? Now, I'm not sure of their daily requirement, I Walk in the Rain. However, sometimes you'll see elephants going up to termite mounds and actually taking bits of soil and eating it. Now, that's called geophagy. And that's often, if they're not getting enough nutrients from the grasses and from the leaves and from the roots and from the bark, they will physically resort to eating small quantities of soil, which is quite amazing. We're going to lose these elephants, everybody. They're about to cross off of our traverse. So I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of the vegetation and things that they are feeding on does have quite a bit of various nutrients in it, and of course the ground will have quite a bit of sodium in it if they are needing it further. But it's not very often that we see them doing it. I think I've seen it more in the drier periods, so the droughts that we have, and in the winter months you tend to see them taking a little bit of a mouthful and popping it in their mouth and chewing it. But of course it's not very good for their teeth. We know it wears their teeth down, so they do it very sparingly. They don't do it all the time. Now, our elephants have left us, everybody, and we're going to carry on as well. Whee! Right, we're starting. Good old Rusty hasn't failed us this morning. Now, while I go and find out what's happened with the leopard tracks, I think Jamie's found what she was looking for.
I actually stumbled upon more than I was looking for, in the form of our beautiful young lioness from the Nkuhumas pride, the missing 5th lioness, and her accompanying Birmingham boy. So they've just a little bit away from the carcass, engaged in certain activities that perhaps are not suitable for the young innocent eyes of the tender cubs. Now, it's interesting, I didn't actually come this close to them. They came to me and decided to lie right next to the vehicle. I'm keeping my voice down because this Birmingham boy, number 4, with his injured face, is grumpy. He's not terribly impressed. He gave me a look that was a very, very keen-eyed stare as he made his way to the lioness. She came to us and then he followed. And they've just been mating. And I think his injured mouth is making him sore and a little bit uncomfortable with life. That plus the fact that he's protective over his lioness. Very important for us to remember to make sure that or at least for me, to watch that I'm not either bugging him or irritating him, and also that I'm ready to move if we need to. But for now, they've relaxed once again. And there was lots of growling, and as always seems to be the case, particularly with our Nkuhumas lionesses, yes. Has he been keeping you up all night, girl? Yes. They always seem to be rather unimpressed with life when they find themselves stuck with a Birmingham boy. Luckily, I'm happy to see that she at least managed to get some food in her before he decided to monopolize her attentions. She's a barrel right now. So incredibly full. At least we know that she'll have plenty of energy for the days ahead as the Birmingham boy decides to keep her with him. You can always see it. She wants to go back to the rest of the pride, but he just won't let her. And I can see there's a fresh injury on his leg, not from where I'm sitting, but I noticed it earlier. So he's obviously been involved in a scrap with her. It's on his left leg, but it's on the outside. Oh, there's a little bit of blood there as well on the inside. Other than that, he's looking fine. His face is still... There we go. You can see there's a little scratch mark. His face is still very swollen. Not very pleasant to look at. It's a nasty, weepy wound. It's still infected. It's still uncomfortably infected, but he's going to be fine. It's just going to take some time to heal up. At least it's not teeming with maggots anymore. Now I think that was an abscess that burst and just got a really nasty secondary infection. And it's probably making him feel quite miserable with the world. And if he wasn't driven by instinct, I would say that he'd probably be all on his own, just nursing his injuries and probably his injured pride as well. Now, what's interesting now, I find, about this particular arrangement, we saw number 3 courting this young female not too long ago, the one with the split lip, and he's obviously been usurped, and he was usurped first by one of the, I can't remember if it was number 1 or number 2, but he's now, all of them have lost their opportunity. Oh, look at that beautiful nose. Perfect identifying spots for us to memorize. So exhausted. And face full of buffalo. She's finally come into estrus. This is a young female, as you can tell by the, and I know I'm going to get shouted at for this, by the pinkness of her nose. It's a general rule, not an all-encompassing one. Sometimes lionesses keep their pink noses right up until they grow old, but most of the time they darken with age. And if you watch this Nkuhumas lioness, I promise you it's going to darken with age over the next few years as we get to watch her. How exciting is that? At some point we're going to get to watch her raise her first litter of cubs. But you can tell she's young. Relax, boy. It was just me taking my foot off the brake. Sorry, we'll go back to the young lioness in a moment. He's the most dominant, in my opinion. I think he's actually the largest of the Birminghams in terms of size, just from seeing them together, or at least he's close. He might not have as much mane, but as we know, it's not all about size, it's also about character. And to me, having watched him over the last few weeks, I've had a couple of staring contests with him, and I think that he is the most dominant of the Birmingham boys. She's up. She's restless. Oh, she's beautiful. The Nkuhumas, I know I'm biased, but they really are attractive lions. Especially when we get to see them in action. She's got such a full belly, she doesn't know where to put herself. Lying there isn't comfortable, lying on her side isn't comfortable. And she's got to deal with an amorous Birmingham boy on top of it. But as I said, it will result in her very first litter of cubs, a moment that I think we're all exceptionally excited for. It's almost difficult to imagine that this is the same lioness that over a year ago we were watching play in a drainage line with her sister, like a little cub. She was still a cub, basically. She was a sub-adult. And she's only just reached the status of adulthood. Look at those teeth. You think about what those teeth go through on an almost daily basis. They really are the most incredibly designed things. That's how you can really tell a lion's age, by looking at the condition of their teeth, and she's got perfect teeth. In fact, she has teeth that I would have envied as a teenager. They're all nice and straight. Mine were definitely not. This is awesome. The panting motion. Interesting. You don't often get to observe it from this sort of angle. Interesting, the motion of the tongue with each pant. Lions tend to be regular as clockwork with their mating. It usually happens about once every 15 minutes or so. So by my calculations, we've probably got another 7-ish before they mate again. I think that sounds about right. Iretus is really interested in telling the different lionesses apart and has been doing an awesome job of screenshotting the different lionesses. Hello, boy. And says that I seem to be able to tell them apart easily, and was wondering if they have any identifying features. It's taken me a considerable period of time and a lot of time spent with them. I identify the individual Nkuhumas far easier than I do the Birmingham boys, for example. Particularly for me, the difference between Blondie and number 2 often confuses me. Although the Birmingham boys are getting nice scars that will be very easy to identify them with. So the lionesses, yes, there are identifying features and that you can add to your screenshot list. The oldest one has a broken canine tooth. She's the mother of the middle set of cubs. Then there's Amber Eyes, who's Amber Eyes. But if you don't happen to get a glimpse of Amber Eyes' eyes, then she has a large scar on her right shoulder that makes her quite easy to identify, although that, of course, will disappear as it starts to heal up. So you've got to be careful with scars. The best way to identify them, or the most accurate way, if I'm honest, is to look at either breaks in the teeth, nicks in the ear, or, most importantly, the whisker spot patterns, since that is as unique as a fingerprint to each and every individual lioness or lion. And it's something, actually, that's something I meant to do. When we go back to the cubs later, we're going to have a screenshot list. We're going to have to try and start collecting the individual cubs' spot patterns to help us keep track as they grow older and less identifiable. Then the youngest lioness, she's got that perfect little pattern of dots on her nose, although, as I said, that's going to change. There you go, there's screenshot. VM's giving you plenty of screenshot options there for the young lioness. And she just looks younger. She's still a little bit spotty. That's just how I tell her apart. And then the twins, I think they're twins, I think they're both sisters, are the mothers of the oldest set and the youngest set of cubs, respectively. They're the remaining... Oh, hello. Oh, could you please go the other way? Oh, really, guys? Really? Really? Well, at least the back of our vehicle is censoring the most important part. Still a little bit inexperienced. They don't always get this whole process right, and she doesn't make it easier because she's also inexperienced. So he still hasn't managed yet. We'll know as soon as he grabs. There we go. All in all, not the most enthusiastic I've ever seen lions. She doesn't look terribly impressed, I have to say. Most of the time, females roll over onto their backs, often swatting their partner. She could not be less bothered. Well, I'm glad you two chose to do that right there, thank you. And now they're growling at each other. The joys of live wildlife filming. Hey, Viam. Thanks, guys. Still growling at each other. Right, now I can reposition. I couldn't while they were in the act without actually provoking him. Thanks, buddies. So back to the question about identifying the individual lionesses. The twins, as I said, the mother of the oldest and the youngest set of cubs, they are more difficult to tell apart, and the best way you can do that is by screenshotting them, although at this point, I have to be honest, I cannot remember which one's which. I honestly don't remember which one. There's Twin Spot and then there's Twin Spot Mark II. They both, I think they're twins, I think they both come from the same litter. And I can't remember which one is the mother of the oldest and which one is the mother of the youngest, to be completely honest with you. I have no idea. I'd have to go back to the screenshot. Oh, Twin Spot apparently is the mother of the oldest. So it's just time spent with the lions. The Nkuhumas I find easy. The Birmingham boys are getting to be easier. And we did go through quite a long period of time where we didn't see them. And I can't learn from, personally, I can't learn from looking at pictures. I have to spend time with the individual lions so that I get an idea of their characters, and therefore make it easier. It makes it easier for me to recognize them. He's always, of course, going to be very, very identifiable. That scar is going to stay there a long time. And it's possible with that secondary infection, it's actually going to rot away a little bit of his face. He might have a depression between his eye and his nose when it does heal up. Looks quite unpleasant at the moment, but it's going to look pretty cool. Male lions with scars always look as though they have a real story to tell, which of course they do. Oh, the joys of being a dominant male lion, hey, buddy? Shame, you can see it's hurting him, you can see the way his eyes are. Ouch. Ouch. Now, Eileen in Texas, a good question. What would have caused the initial abscess? Probably, most likely, a scrap with either one of the lionesses or one of the other males, perhaps over one of the lionesses, and maybe even just the tiniest nick or scratch. Now, I'm not sure what came first, the infection or the maggots. I think the infection actually came first, because initially he just had a tiny wound with a massive swelling, and then he burst it open. So I think it was an abscess. It just kind of like those of you who have domestic cats, when they go off and they fight and they come back with hard abscesses that then burst. That's basically what happened to him. Unfortunately, no vet treatments for him, so he's got to just heal as he would naturally. Luckily, these animals are equipped with serious immune systems. And I actually, after all the research we did about maggot infestations and so on, I actually think, to be honest, after all that, having talked about mysis, and the infections of living tissue with maggots, I actually think they did him good. I really do. After all our discussion about it and the fact that they could make it worse, I actually think they helped. So there we go. That's new, I think. Is it? It's not bleeding, so it's not fresh. Shame, buddy. You've been beaten up a bit. And look at these loving stares being shared between the two of them. Don't they look impressed with each other? And I'm sure you're wondering where the other 3 Birmingham boys are. Perhaps Tayla might have some answers in that regard.
We have got another Birmingham. As you can see, he's a very pretty male, and this is the male we had the other morning. He was roaring so nicely for us. So I think this is Birmingham number 2, if I'm not mistaken. But if I am mistaken, you're welcome to correct me and let me know. I'm still learning all these Birmingham boys. And finally, it wasn't on our traverse. He was on the other side now. So I'm glad he's decided to come back south. Good boy. Very good. Well-trained lion this one is. Now we're going to follow him. And he's stunning. He doesn't seem to have the genetics like the other Birminghams have. He's definitely the looker out of the boys. He's marking his territory. He did do one little soft contact call too, but now he's stopped. But let's park in the distance and let him watch him come to us. Now remember, everybody, we're going to take lots of screenshots here because he's beautiful. Isn't this? So my favorite Birmingham is the one that's mating. But this is definitely by far the prettiest Birmingham. You can't really compare the two. Look at that pose, everybody. That is quite special. Oh, you're going to rest for us? Oh my goodness! I see Jamie, everybody. Thank you, Louise. Louise in Final Control said that if I look over my shoulder, I'll see Jamie. Hi, Jamie. I'm waving to Jamie, but she's not waving. Oh, she's waving back. There they are. So this is going to be quite interesting to see now when this other Birmingham decides to come around. And I wonder what his feeling is going to be towards our friend who's got the big hole in his face. Because, like I said, this female's an estrus, and now I wonder if they're going to compete for her. So this is going to be quite interesting. Maybe this is why he's also being a little bit reluctant to go streaming over. Maybe he's just planning his next move. Oh, we're going to see so much action. This is going to be wonderful. Now, that young female lioness is actually looking over in our direction. Now, if I were her, and I'd seen this gorgeous-looking man coming towards me, well, I don't know, I might swap, because unfortunately our friend over there is not the most attractive looking lion. But they've got good genetics, so they're still young boys. You can see she's just through the trees there. Now, possibly that Birmingham boy number 2 heard the commotion, or the mating that's been going on, and that's why he's made his way over here. But isn't he is just divine. I can't think of any more words to try and describe how beautiful this lion is. He is almost perfect. Very few scars in his face, just a little one, a few on his nose, but a beautiful mane, and you can see his mane is even starting to darken quite nicely as it goes down towards his chest. He's beautiful. And they are impala in the distance, alarm calling, but he doesn't seem too bothered by them. Now, as soon as I mentioned about him not having very many scars, Team Mine wants to know, does this mean he has done less fighting? Now, I'm not 100% sure. It's either that or he's just been very good at fighting and avoided his face. But possibly, you know, there's always, especially if they're fighting in a group, so if these Birminghams all go in at once and have a go at, say, the dominant males that were in this area prior to their arrival, one of them would have taken a big beating. It would have been the one who dove in head first, and possibly he came running in at the back. Or, like I said, maybe he's just very good, and he has avoided being swiped in the face. He's got a few scars on him. They're there. They're definitely there. but not as many as the rest. But he's just a better looking lion anyway. I mean, those other Birminghams, listen, they're very attractive boys. They're going to be really nice in the next 2 years or so once they mature fully. But their faces seem to always be quite swollen, where this male lion's face, I think, is a lot more textured, if that makes any sense. He's sort of got more prominent ridges, where the others just look like they've been stung by bees and they've got very swollen noses. So he is a lovely lion. Now, here's your opportunity, everybody, to try and take... Ooh, it sounds like those other lions perhaps just mated. I'm hearing a bit of growling. Now, I wonder if our friend the Birmingham, number 2, he doesn't seem too interested yet. I thought all those noises were going to coax him to go over. But perhaps not just yet. But I'm certain that that's the way he's heading. And then possibly from there, maybe he'll even go towards that buffalo kill as well and have a feed on that. Remember, we were saying that all these vultures are going to attract that buffalo and also all that smell. So they're going to be coming in shortly if any of the other Birminghams come around. Right, let's just go down the way to Jamie and see what I can hear.
Oh, our amorous couple have been at it again. That's, of course, what Tayla could hear from where she is. So this is an interesting turn of events. I don't think there's going to be major conflict, but at one point the lioness did seem quite keen to ditch her current suitor and perhaps make her way across to where Tayla is, not too far away. As you can imagine, that was not met with much enthusiasm from our courting Birmingham boy. He blocked her with his body. Every time she tried to make her way there, he blocked her and blocked her and blocked her until she eventually reluctantly just lay down and let him mate. And then nearly headbutted him on the way back up. It was thoroughly entertaining. Oh, she is looking, I must say, she does look across with apparent interest. Hello, boy. What do you think, girl? Of course, a female big cat, will mate with as many males as she can when she's in estrus, and that includes different male lions. And often what happens especially with lions when they're in estrus, is that the males actually tire of it before the females do. So you might encounter one male mating with a female on one day, and then come back 2 days later only to find that his place has been taken by a different male. Now that does often occur. And basically it's a way of her ensuring that her cubs are safe when they are born, trying to trick each and every boy in the area into thinking that they are his, or have them invested in it. And there's some interesting research being done now into male big cats fathering, or different males fathering cubs from the same litter, if that makes any sense, because the females do mate with multiple partners. It would be interesting. I'm really looking forward to the results that DNA testing is going to yield into whether or not females actually do have cubs from different dads. So perhaps our little bumbling cubs are fathered by a couple of the different Birmingham boys. Certainly they're all invested in them now. They are the dominant males of this area, and these are their cubs. Oh, it's another vehicle. Wondered what the rumbling was. And Deborah, our armchair traveller, wanted to know what the time is between the lioness's estrus cycles if she doesn't fall pregnant. What would we say, about once every month or so, once every 6 weeks we see them mating? Sounds about right, about once a month. The lioness, if she's not mating, will come into estrus. Maybe once a month is a bit often, maybe about once every 2 months. Oh, look at that. That provides quite a deceptive shot, actually. Almost looks like they like each other. Which is, of course, not necessarily the case. Deborah, I think it's about once every 6 weeks or so, just from what we've observed. It will differ from lioness to lioness, naturally. I mean, look at Shadow. I know she's a leopard, But look at Shadow. She seems to roll from one estrus cycle to the next, and she never gives poor Tingana a break, to the point that he actually actively runs away from her. Although, admittedly, that was also because he'd just been chased by a lion. The Tingana, the dominant male leopard, has had to mate with Shadow pretty much solidly from when she first went into estrus a couple of months ago. So it does depend upon the individual as well, just as would with people. There's individual differences. And of course, as you know, lionesses do try and synchronize their estrus cycles to some degree, which we've seen with our little set of 8 cubs, all roughly the same age. Okay, there's a week or two difference between, and the oldest cubs are quite a gap from the youngest cubs. But they do try and synchronize their estrus cycles, which makes total sense, which is why we often see Amber Eyes and the young female off at the same time, mating. Although my suspicion is that because we haven't seen Amber Eyes mating in a while, my suspicion is we might have new little babies on the way in the next 2 months. But let's wait and see. That is just supposition. I don't know that for certain just yet. And then the young lioness will have cubs, and then all 5 Nkuhumas will have had babies this year. And just think what a force to be reckoned with the Nkuhumas will be in the future. In 2 years' time, can you just imagine? They've at least supplemented their numbers with 5 females. Maybe in 2 years' time, the 3 males will have dispersed. Just imagine the 10 lionesses walking down the road together. It's going to be like old times. The strength of the Nkuhuma pride returns. Well done, Birmingham boys. Now, as you know, the repeated mating between the big cats is because the female actually doesn't ovulate straight away. She has to have her ovulation induced by that whole process. Justin, you wanted to know if a female mates with different males, will the first male have a greater chance of impregnating her than the second? And she's probably she's probably most fertile in the middle of her estrus cycle and towards the end because of that whole induced ovulation process. So the initial 2 days, 2 or even 3 days of mating are basically futile, and it's essentially to make sure that the biggest and the best male passes on his genetics to her, which isn't always exactly how it works, but it's one of the explanations behind that evolutionary tactic. It's why males have barbed penises, and why it hurts her every time he mates with her, because that is what I've been looking into, try and find the information on how the connection is made between that whole process and then the release of the eggs and how it interacts with the hormones. And I can't find all that much information on it. I'll keep looking. So it's actually the male towards the middle or the end that will have the best chance of actually becoming the father of her cubs. Up we go again. I would like to go that way. Nope. I love how he bites her tail. Hey, sit down. Sit down. Hey. Oh, she's going towards Tayla. Ah. Poor girl. There we go. A half-hearted roll onto her back. The lordosis reflex at work. And he's going to mark his territory. Oh, not even a foot scrape there. She's getting closer, mister. I think she thinks that there's a chance if she gets the 2 males together and they start to scrap over her, she can actually escape back to the buffalo kill. I think she has a cunning plan. A very cunning plan. I wonder if she's capable of that much forward planning. It'd be very interesting to know. I mean, they coordinate their hunts in the most amazing manner. I wonder if they're capable of thinking about a way to trick another lion to try and work their way back to whatever they want. Be interesting to know. Hyenas definitely would be. And I wouldn't be surprised if leopards would be. Karula, that's true actually. Liam just pointed out we saw Tingana ditch Karula in that way, accidentally leading her into the lions. We still don't know if that was actually the case, but it really seemed that way because he split off. Okay, I'm going to reposition in the meantime. Let's jump across to Tayla, who is, as you know, not too far away, and see what her lonely Birmingham boy is up to.
I agree with Jamie. I think it is a fantastic plan of what this young female is trying to do. And it's working slowly because this Birmingham over here keeps staring in the distance. And it doesn't seem, it's actually more of a glare that he's giving to that other male. And they're not too far away now. I'm trying to think. They're probably about 80 meters away from each other. And he can now see them. And hopefully that female will lead this other Birmingham with a hole in his face to this big jackalberry that we have on the right. And possibly we're going to see some action this morning. So I think I'm going to stick around a little bit. Hang on, I'm just watching. That other female has sat up again on the right. Don't know if he was quite far away. However, you can sort of see them. She was laying flat. Now she sort of changed position a little bit there. Now come on, girl. You're a young, fit young lady. Up you get. Yeah, she's very cheeky. She's staring over at our pretty handsome Birmingham. When you're not far, if you get up and you do a little dash, that's going to be very exciting. I don't know if this other male is going to allow her to do a dash, because every time she moves, he is hot on her heels. Wondering what is actually going on inside her head. Though it seems like she's mating with this other male now a bit more regularly. We saw it yesterday. We saw them mate twice. And she didn't seem quite keen. He was quite keen to mate every few minutes, and she was not up for it though. But it seems to be more regular. I think since I've been here, we've seen them mate, or heard them mate twice. Haven't really seen anything, but they make quite a bit of noise when they are mating, as I'm sure you heard just now. No, our other Birmingham has gone to sleep. Fast asleep in dreamland. Ah. Now, our beard wants to know, this young female that we've been watching hasn't really been having a go at the male after they've mated. Now, that's normally quite common because it's quite painful, unfortunately, for the female during copulation. And our beard is wondering if it's because of his sore face. No, I don't think so. I don't think she really cares too much. I think this is her first time that she's really ever been mating, so everything is very new for her. She's obviously seen it with the other females, but perhaps she's a little bit, she's very naive still. So I think when the males start to push her around a little bit, then she may become a little bit more aggressive. The reason why I like this Birmingham boy number 4 is, like I said yesterday, I've never seen a male lion that's so gentle around the cubs. I mean, he allowed them to jump on his back and bite his tail and pull his mane, and he didn't seem too bothered at all. And even with this female while he's mating, normally it can get quite aggressive, as you've all seen. And he seems to be quite a gentle gentleman, I suppose. He's very nice to her. Now, I think the tables may turn though when we get some of the other Birminghams who are a little bit more on the feisty side. And it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Now they're coming over to the vehicle. You can see he wants to try and cut her off. Now our sleeping Birmingham, we're not going to go to him though. Oh, now he's lifted his head up. You see a lot of growling, and as they're moving, that male is still marking his territory, making his presence known. Bit of growling. Come on, girl. Oh, you are cheeky. He's not happy. This Birmingham is letting off lots of rumbles. Now we're going to stay on these two, everybody. I want to see. Can you hear the growling? She's getting upset with the Birmingham now because he keeps trying to block her off. We may have an argument here. What's going to happen? This is very interesting, everybody. Oh, she sat. Let's see what she's going to do. Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy with the situation at all. Now, it's natural for this big Birmingham that we're looking at now to be growling and be acting quite aggressively because he wants to be the one that mates with this female for the next few days. So there could be a bit of an argument. And she's really throwing a spanner in the works, I'm afraid. She's not being a very nice lady. But I think I agree exactly with Jamie. I think she's had enough of the boys. Like I said, she's young, she's very inexperienced. And if she can cause a big distraction, like a fight, she's going to run away. She's going to run straight back to the pride and seek shelter. Maybe she'll even run further than that and try and move away from him completely. I've seen it before. Females like to give the males a slip and have their own private time every now and then. As we've seen, the males are really only interested in eating and mating, when it comes to lions, that is. There's still quite a bit of growling going on. I don't think you can hear it, it's a bit far. Now, we definitely think that there's going to be a little bit of an argument over here. Now, Jason wants to know if one male can mate with a female straight after another without any fighting. I've never seen it before. I've never seen a placid sort of swap over like that. It's always been an argument, some less violent and aggressive than others. But I think already from the Birmingham that's laying close to this female, he's marking. He's growling. I don't know if you saw his stance that he had before. Everything about him seems to be very aggressive, and I don't think he's going to let this female sort of get away from him. And so I think he's going to stand his ground. Though our other Birmingham, let's have a quick look at our Birmingham number 2. You'll see he hasn't really moved much, and he hasn't shown any aggression either. He's now flat. It's like he's sort of ignoring him. But I think once they get a little bit closer, that the Birmingham that's mating with the female currently, I think he may make the first move. Well, you better be careful. I don't know who my money's on, though, in a fight. Now, they will argue, and then it depends who wants it more, I suppose. We'll determine who's going to get the mating rights to this female. But they've settled down for a little bit, or she's still got her head up, she's still watching. You can see just through the round leaf teak there's another vehicle coming through, and that's what they're looking at now. Come on, girl, get up. Let's cause a bit of a dispute this morning. You've already caused some tension. Finish off what you've started. I don't know if any of you have ever seen two males fighting before. It is definitely something. It's very loud and they are very rough with each other. So I hope you're all prepared for that if it does happen. Here's a big yawn. Let's see. Yep. You're rolling over, not getting up. She's got a big belly though, as you can see. Still lots of growling. I think it's a bit too far for all of you to hear. But she seems slightly agitated. You see her tail moving quite a bit, and I don't think it's swatting flies. They're not far now. They must only be about 60 meters away from each other. And now this other Birmingham that we were looking at earlier, the one that was sleeping, he's actually got the upper hand because he's on higher ground. Now, so straight away, if that Birmingham gets up from a distance, he's going to look a lot bigger to the others, to this other Birmingham that we're looking at now. And he may feel threatened because he's got an advantage of coming from a higher vantage point. I don't know if you can see, the other lionesses have actually just come down to have a drink now. It might be difficult. There's quite a few trees obstructing. The other girls are there. However, I'm quite keen with the cubs. I just want to hold our position over here, just because I think this is going to be an amazing interaction if we get it. And that other boy, Birmingham number 4, has got his head up. He's growling. He's very unhappy at the moment. So I definitely think he's going to possibly try and chase off this other male if this female comes any closer. But we're going to be patient. I mean, something like this could take 10 minutes. It could take 2 hours to unfold. Now, Angelique, thank you very much for this little information that you fed me. Angelique said that during the Birmingham takeover, they killed a female that wasn't compliant. Now, that's actually fairly common in takeovers where females are reluctant to sort of take notice of the boys. Unfortunately, they will be killed. I don't think they're going to injure her. I think what's going to happen is this Birmingham number 4 is possibly going to engage in a fight with this other male, or attempt to chase him off, and I think that female is going to duck. She keeps looking over her shoulder now towards the rest of the pride that's come down to drink at that little puddle, which we saw them at yesterday evening. And I think that's her next plan, is that once the attention is off her, she's going to race back to her comfort zone where she knows she has protection as well. Remember, those adult females also stand with each other and give the boys a bit of bat too if they give them too much trouble. So I think that's possibly what's going to happen. It's like she's sort of just mapping out in her head what her next move is. Now, I just hope that those other lionesses don't come towards here with the cubs. Because if there is a bit of an argument, those males are going to be not very aware of their surroundings, and that's possibly also when something like a cub can get taken out in a fight accidentally, of course. See that glare? He is watching his brother. Just making sure. Up you get, girl. Now, I know a few of you have been asking if this female does get up and run away, won't he just find her again? And I know that David is asking exactly that. Now, that's definitely the case, but maybe she'll be able to put enough distance between her and she'll just keep on the move. I've seen it where lions have intentionally avoided males for 2 weeks, wherever they were, and actually crossed paths. So it was actually with the Southern Pride and the Charleston males when they came over and did their takeover. For the first month, the females wanted absolutely nothing to do with them. And the one evening, we watched the Charlestons pick up the scent of the the lionesses, and they were calling, hoping for a response. They weren't getting a response. The females were sitting quietly. And then, literally, they were probably about 40 meters away from each other. The females gave them a slip. They quickly snuck past them. Like, I'm not joking. I've never seen lions tiptoe until that day. and raced down into a drainage line, and then they proceeded to zigzag. I couldn't keep up with them. They were going through a drainage, and then they would double back, and I watched these males try and follow their scent, and they just couldn't work out what they were doing. And this is what happened for 2 weeks. They evaded the Charlestons. Eventually they caught up, but they had 2 weeks break from them. So that can happen. That can definitely happen. Now, let's have a quick look at Birmingham number 2, just because he's sat up quite nicely. Now, he's not actually looking at the other, at his brother, or the mate, or that youngest lioness. He was staring over in the distance at the rest of the pride. Now, they've all sort of sat down around the watering hole, so that's what he's watching. Now, I don't think there's any other females that are coming into estrus at this time. And that's why the Birmingham number 4 is not particularly worried about the rest of the pride. He's just worried about that young lioness. But it's going to be quite exciting to see these events unfold. And hopefully, it doesn't seem like there's too many vehicles that want to come here anymore. I think a lot of them have already come through. So hopefully we'll be able to sit here for the remainder of the show and see what happens. Just hear lots of growling and whining from the other pride in the distance, but I don't know, it's very far away for all of you to see. Like I said, I'm not going to move just because I think the action is all happening here, and we've had such lovely, wonderful sightings of the cubs over the last few days. I think we need to change it up a bit. You can see them there all drinking in a little puddle of water, or a little mud wallow. And they've now put their heads down. They've been resting now. I was just trying to time what the intervals are for about 8 minutes. So I think they're mating either every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes. We'll have a look and I'll be able to tell you. So I think this is the first proper day now. I think yesterday was sort of her getting used to that male and first time mating, and now I think they're going to be mating on having those regular intervals. Like I said, since I've been here they've already mated twice. Having a good laugh. Good laugh, everybody. Our beard has just made a hysterical comment saying about how leopard mating is more spot on, how it's the females that have to do all the initiating. And I've never in my life seen a male that was ever keen to mate with the female. And I'm talking about leopards. It's quite funny. And then with lions, it's the complete opposite. The males are the very excited ones, and the females look unimpressed pretty much the entire time. It's amazing how it's so different with the two different cats. She's wondering if she's not going to get up and go back. No, come on, you've started something here. You've stirred. Ooh, you know what's happening. Look at the zoom in on those other lionesses. They are running back to the carcass now because I think the vultures, I saw a lot of vultures moving around, and I think those vultures that you saw earlier this morning with Jamie have come off the tree and gone straight down onto the carcass. Now you won't believe how quickly vultures will demolish an entire carcass. So it's best that they get back to their carcass and don't leave it unattended. I don't think they're too worried about that sly jackal that was hanging on the outskirts. But those vultures, there's so many of them around now. They will clean that up in 10 minutes. Yeah, they're on their way back now. Yes, go back and chase the vultures. I'm hoping that the hyenas are going to start coming in and hanging around soon. But I think with the presence now of two big Birminghams, they might be reluctant to come through just yet. But hopefully we'll be able to watch this carcass over the next few days, and maybe we see some nice interaction with the hyenas. Still waiting to get a decent sighting of a hyena. Just had one very quick one the other morning. She looks a little bit more awake again. Goodness, there's lots going around. Lots of vultures. The hornbills have settled in there, all very chatty this morning as well. Now, we're going to be very patient, everybody. I know it's not very exciting at the moment. However, I know what's going to happen if I move this vehicle and we go towards the cubs. We're going to miss all this action that could potentially happen between the mating pair and Birmingham number 2. So I'm quite happy to hold my ground. And surely this Birmingham now realizes with all the vulture activity that there must be something around. But he's not making any moves either. He's sort of he's just holding his ground for the moment too, but he's not acting aggressive at all. He seems to be quite content. He didn't look too thin either. He definitely had eaten something. Now, we found his tracks on a cheetah cut line on the junction of Buffels Hook cut line. So he's definitely come from the east and coming west. Eggsy actually spotted his tracks, and initially they didn't look very fresh, the way he'd been standing in the sand. And I think somebody had already driven over half of his tracks because we lost them. And then they came back again. And then we just saw him lying on the road. It was fantastic. Don't know if you can hear all those birds chatting away. Hornbills. So beautiful out here this morning, though. Lovely and quiet. It's something so amazing. The silence is so quiet that sometimes it's deafening. And that's definitely something that I notice as soon as I get back to the cities is how terribly quiet, how terribly noisy it is, with the sound of the traffic and the police sirens and people shouting. It's not very pleasant at all. You can see some more clouds coming in. Actually, a set of thicker clouds coming through, but I can see a little, every now and then there's a few gaps of blue sky. But there's now a breeze. There wasn't any wind this morning. So perhaps we've still got an opportunity for some bad weather to blow in. But no threatening rain clouds just yet. Eggsy, let's go back to this mail quickly, just because Heather has asked a fantastic question this morning. Good morning, Heather. Heather wants to know, why do the males' coats appear to be a lot darker and smoother, almost hairless compared to the females? Now, Heather, it's got to do with the amount of testosterone that they're producing. So the males start off quite light, like the females, but as they get older, they start producing more and more testosterone. And testosterone is known to enhance the color of animals. So a good example is a big male giraffe, how they almost go black in color. So their skin is just slowly starting to darken now. And give it another 6 months and you'll see how lovely they are. He looks a lot darker than his brother. And you can even see on the mane on his chest is starting to darken as well. I don't think these males are going to have particularly dark manes. Possibly just some darkening on the chest, which is quite common. But they're not going to have completely black manes. I'll be surprised if they are. Now, the hairlessness, it's like a horse. I don't know if you've ever seen a stallion, how their coats are just naturally smooth and more shiny than the females. And then once again, Heather, that's just got to do with the testosterone that they're producing. And fantastic good condition. It's like almost like they're having a lot of omega essential oils that are creating their coats to look like that. They're not really, but it's like that. I know when you give dogs and things and cats omega oils, their coats go lovely and slick. Remember, these boys are still fairly young. They're just coming into their prime now. I think they're only about 5.5 years. Watch them at the end of the year, beginning of next year. They're going to change completely. They're really going to start muscling up nicely, and it'll be so nice when their manes also go a darker tinge. No, he's going back to sleep. He's very placid. I'm quite impressed. I think any other Birmingham male could have charged in already. Like if we take who was that other male that we were with? I forget now. Maybe Birmingham boy number 3. I think he would have put up quite a bit of a fight, because remember about a week ago now. Sure, time flies. He was on a buffalo kill with Birmingham boy number 4, and with this young female lioness. And Birmingham number 3 wouldn't even let that young lioness feed on the carcass. Now, as I say, I think if it was him that was sitting where this male that we're watching is sitting, there would have been a lot of drama already. I don't think he would have stood for being growled at in the distance. Remember, each lion has got their own personality, their own temperament. They all have got different traits from their various mothers. Now, I'm not sure if the Birminghams are actually blood brothers, meaning that they're all from the same mother. With coalitions, that's not always the case with males. They don't have to be a same mother, same father. They can just come from the same pride. Now, I'm actually not sure at all what the case is. I know with most of the coalitions that we've seen, that you see in the then it would be half siblings. So maybe same father, different mother, or same mother, or maybe even not even directly related, but same pride, and that's okay. So while I sit and wait for this wonderful drama that we're hoping to unfold, let's go see how Jamie's morning's going.
Well, since Tayla and myself both had sightings that sort of collided with each other, I decided to leave the lions for now and go off in search of other things. I'm really hoping to find a leopard. I want to go and see if I can't find Karula. Perhaps these guys know where she is. I know Tayla was asking some impala this morning about whether or not they know where Karula or perhaps any leopard might be. But impala are the strong, silent type out here. Unless, oh, look how pregnant she looks. They're starting to show properly now. The females bulging outwards a little bit, and pretty much every single female in this herd will be pregnant, except for the youngest ones that would not have been ready to conceive just yet. Just ever so slightly bulging around the belly area. And to see the fresh green grass is such a pleasure. I can't believe it's the same place. It really is so amazing how quickly it's gone green. And of course now we can start to look forward to, well, no, not now. That's an exaggeration. In the next 2 months, in 2 months' time, we can start to look forward to the birth of the new impala lambs. Which is always an exciting, exciting time. For us, because they're adorable to watch as they wobble about, and for the predators, because it is, especially for the leopards, a time of plenty. I got very excited. I thought I found a drag mark earlier, which of course would indicate a leopard being in the area, but unfortunately it turned out to be a snake track. I tried to follow it for a little bit, but it can be quite tricky to tell the difference between the two. But generally a drag mark tends to be slightly deeper than the slithering of a snake. And sometimes you don't necessarily get that perfect serpentine motion visible in the track that you imagine snakes to move through or move along, especially if it's something like a puff adder, because they move in a straight line, basically by stretching their body forward and then contracting and pulling the rest of their body after it. So a puff adder moving in a standard pace actually leaves a completely straight track. There you go, a drag mark, but a false alarm, unfortunately. I suppose it is a drag mark, it's the snake dragging its body behind it, but not quite what I was looking for. I've decided, since I don't think anybody's checked around this area, I'm going to go check Leadwood Road, the last place that we saw Karula. That was a long time ago, but she might have decided to return. At least I'm hoping that's the case. Battalier or Leadwood? Let's do Battalier. Doesn't look like by the tyre tracks anybody's done this road in a while. Let's go and see what's happening here. I do sometimes wonder, because there's certain roads that for some reason just don't get driven as often as others. And I sometimes wonder how often we miss something like a leopard kill right next to the road, because we just haven't driven that particular road that particular day. Although I don't think I actually want to know the answer to that question. Perhaps it's best left to the imagination, or indeed how many leopards we drive past. I'd love to know the total of leopards that I've driven past in my lifetime in the bush. It must be close to 100. When they don't want to be seen, they don't want to be seen. Let's try and get a view of the Inyala. All the animals are hiding away this morning. There's so much water around that the animals are so incredibly dispersed. They don't have to gather around water holes because they can just drink from any puddle. Oh, Nyala, you're making my life difficult. Not intentionally, obviously. Oh, goodness. Here's one. She also, I mean, I don't know if now I'm just seeing pregnancy everywhere, but she also looks a bit pregnant to me. She looks very pregnant to me. And a little bit thin. I'm sure they're all very, very grateful that there's been some rain and that they've got a little bit more to eat. Hands down, one of the most beautiful antelope species. I believe that you got to see, which is something that you don't get to see here on Djuma, but that you got to see their largest cousins, the eland, which is the largest of the antelope species and related, believe it or not, to the Inyala and the kudu and even the little bushbuck. They all fall under the spiral-horned antelope tribe. Hard to believe, though, that there's that genetic relationship between them. And Anna Marie says, oh, bouncing baby antelope, November and December, and that she can't wait. Me neither. I can't wait. You always get this question, when is the best time to come to the bush? And it's such a difficult question to answer because that is one of my favorite sights. That fresh green summer feeling, which hopefully we're going to have this year. I'm really hoping, even though we did have early rain, I'm hoping it's going to stay rainy. That fresh green summer feeling, bouncing baby antelope everywhere. And then you've got winter on the other hand, where you can see nocturnal species all the time, and you can see further into the bush, and your predator viewing's better. A very difficult question to answer, when is the best time? Out here, at least. There's certain areas where it's seasonal, and when there's lots of rain, you might as well not bother to go there. Well, not necessarily not bother to go there, but if you're looking for seriously good animal viewing, you might not want to bother. And two of my closest friends are from Northern Ireland, and they asked me when the best time for them to come and visit is, and one of them got heat stroke. My closest friends when I was at university, he got heat stroke on a day when I was still wearing a jumper. I was still wearing a jersey, and he managed to get heat stroke. So based on that, I decided to tell them that perhaps the best time to come and visit would be in winter, not in summer, because I wasn't entirely sure they were going to survive the heat in summer. I'm going to concentrate on searching for leopard tracks or any sign of the queen. Let's head back across and see how the drama of the morning is playing out with Tayla and her lions.
and nothing has materialized just yet. We are going to be patient, and we're going to sit out these sleeping cats for as long as we can, and hopefully they do something exciting. So what you did miss, though, just something that happened so quickly, is that female quickly groomed herself, and she obviously had an itch, and that male thought it would be a nice opportunity to try and mate, and she actually did give him a swipe across the face to say, nope, not yet, and then she went back to sleep again. So nothing else has happened, and you can see we've repositioned slightly just so we had a better view of them, just in case we get lucky and we get to catch them mating again. And we still have a very small view of our other male who's sitting off into the distance. You may be able to see him through all the round leaf teak and all of the other little goodies that are growing. There he is. Just through there. And then hopefully we'll have we've got a fairly good view if this female does get up and start walking towards him. We've got a good spot here. So I think this is much better positioning. Remember, everybody, we are live this morning. Well, we're always live, so you're welcome to send me some questions or send Jamie some questions. You can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can even send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. Now, Jason would like to know, how close does that female need to get in order to spark a fight? Now, I don't think there's an exact amount of space that she needs to be. I think if she gets up and she goes about another 20 or 30 meters closer to that male, I think that Birmingham male number 2 is possibly going to stand up. And as soon as he stands up, I think that's going to feel like a threat to Birmingham number 2. And I mean, please swap them around. Birmingham number 2 stands up. I think Birmingham boy number 4 is going to feel quite threatened. So we'll have to see. Or did I swap them around? Now I've confused myself, everybody. But you can see that wound. Let's have a look at his wound. Quite wide, but even since yesterday, it's not as deep as what it was. It's definitely getting better. And we can't decide around all of us living in DRC what scar that's going to leave, whether it's going to leave a bit of an indentation on his face. It'll be quite interesting to see, because to me, I mean, that looks like it needs a few stitches. Obviously, we don't interfere out here, and this male is doing quite well. I think he seems to be quite happy. You can see he's a little bit oozing a little bit. But that's normal, but there's no more maggots anymore and there's no flies hanging around it, so that's great. That's good to know. I think already from the photos that I took yesterday, it's improving as the day goes on. And obviously, as long as he keeps eating and keeps drinking, and he's going to be fine. If he goes a week or a week without eating, then I don't think that wound is going to continue to heal. I think that process will slow down quite a bit. But luckily they've got a buffalo that the lovely lionesses caught, and they're taking full advantage of. But they are fast asleep now. Now they've gone on for almost 20 minutes now without mating. So I don't think we're going to have a textbook mating process like we normally do, where you see how it progresses from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 40 minutes, etc. I think it's going to be on and off because it is this female's first time. So she's got a lot to learn as well. And possibly the first time she's coming to Eatris, maybe she won't even take to any of the males. And maybe it will take her 2 or 3 times of mating with the boys in order to fall pregnant. But we can only hope that she does take the first time, because how exciting will that be? There'll be such a nice little gap between all the little cubs. So just when the others get big and they're not so cute anymore, then we'll have hopefully some new little fluff balls around. Now I'm also itching to go and have a look and see what the rest of the pride is doing, but I also don't want to leave here in the same breath just because I know how dramatic this could be if something does unfold here. But at the moment, it doesn't look like anything's happening just yet. They both seem exhausted. Eggsy and I were having a good chuckle earlier this morning. I must tell you about what we talk about behind the scenes, because sometimes it's quite funny. And we were saying that we hope she doesn't, this young lioness doesn't have cubs too soon, because we feel as though she's going to grow up then. And Patricia would like to know if this is the same lioness that chased Tingana up a tree as well as chased the giraffe. Now, Patricia, that's correct. And this is why Eggsy and I were talking about it, is we said that she's going to grow up and she's going to have adult responsibilities, and she's not going to be able to do all those reckless things like chasing giraffe and chasing leopards up trees. So that was our little joke that we had this morning. So I can hear that Jamie's searching hard, far and wide for a leopard this morning. Hopefully she gets lucky. I attempted my luck this morning with of course no leopard, but I did find a big male lion, which was not too bad. I can hear contact calling in the very far distance from the other females. Very quiet now, everybody. Just a little crested spurfowl that was calling there. Crested francolin, sorry. No, it's very, very quiet. You could almost hear a pin drop. It's quite nice to just sometimes sit and enjoy the peace and quiet. It's really beautiful. It feels like it's getting colder again. When I first woke up, it was warm this morning, and then it got freezing as we were driving along, and then I thought it warmed up again, but now I'm a bit colder, which is good for us. Hopefully the lions and even the leopards will be a little bit more active in this cooler weather. These two seem to be enjoying a good snooze. Now, if you look at these two lying here the way they are, they're laying in a bit of a depression, so they don't look very big now. And David wants to know, or his comment first, because David said that the males don't look too much bigger than the females. Now, and he's wondering, is this true? These Birminghams, like I said, they've still got a little bit of growing to do, but however, they are much larger than the females. Hopefully, when they stand up again, if they stand on level ground, David, you'll be able to see that he is much taller than her, and he's also a lot more broader at the shoulders than what she is. Now, typically, a male lion can get to anywhere between 200 and 230 kilograms. That's quite big. Now, I believe the largest recorded male lion that's ever been found was in the Kruger National Park, and I can't remember what he died from, but he was massive, and they weighed him, and he weighed 250 kilograms. That is enormous. Now, that's exceptionally big, and a female will typically get anywhere between 150 and 180 kilograms would be quite a big female too. Now, this lioness, she's quite a bit smaller than the other ladies. So I reckon she's probably at about 120 kilos at the moment. And that big Birmingham, I reckon they're not massive. I don't think the Birminghams are particularly huge. I'm trying to guess. I think they're maybe just shy, or maybe around 200 kilograms. I don't think too much more than that. But they could still put on quite a bit of weight and fill out a little bit more. They can still get a bit more robust. And hopefully they will. Hopefully they will. I think the biggest change of male lions is now when when they're between 5 and 6 years old. Often see quite a dramatic change. So keep an eye out over the next few months. Keep taking screen captures, and so that you can note the difference. And even if you've got some screen captures from when these Birminghams first took over, it'll be quite interesting to see how different they're looking compared to back when they first came through. So even if you can hashtag Safari Live on some of your old screen captures of the Birminghams, that'll be really great to have a look at a little bit later. I think we're still going to hang around, everybody. I'm reluctant to move away from these lions because I know what happens if you aren't patient. You miss out. So let's bear and grit these painfully sleeping lions. But while I wait, let's go to Jamie and see if she's managed to find anything else on that leopard.
No sign of the leopard, but we have got this incredible view of a magnificent bull elephant. There's just something so very special about us spending time with these giants, particularly the big bulls, because they've got such a sense of self-assurance about them. This gentleman's not particularly huge. He's still quite young. If I had to guess, I'd put him in his 20s. But he still has that sense of self-assurance, and we just have this incredible view of his trunk as he reaches down. He's pushed over a tree, and he is wrapping his trunk around the roots, attempting to pull it back up. He's massive. Hello, boy. And he's such a polite elephant as well. You can always tell. We're much, much closer to him than we were with that elephant on Cheetah Plains, for example, who immediately started eyeballing us in a strange way. And this beautiful boy didn't even really look twice at us as we pulled up. Oh, yummy. That's nice. That's a good breakfast. Let's see if he's going to actually crunch straight through that root, or if he's going to strip it of its bark. See how he's using his trunk to reposition it. Oh, he's chewing the whole thing. And we're not quite at the point just yet where the grass is long enough for the elephants to eat it. So their diet is still almost entirely tree-based. Although at least there's a bit more moisture in the trees, so they don't have to worry too much about uprooting them. I've just driven along Battalier Road, and I probably had to drive round about 5 different trees that the elephants had pushed over. They're doing a magnificent job in this drought of actually really creating open spaces in the vegetation. It's going to be very interesting to see how they change the shape of the landscape. They're definitely in the process of doing that. I'm hoping he might also come and give us a mud wallow, although I don't think it's warm enough for him just yet. There's some really nice puddles of mud that the elephants absolutely love. But it's still cool this morning, so I don't think so. There's such a profound sense of peace in sitting with a sighting like this. Got quite an impressive set of tusks. As I said, he's still young. Those are still going to grow. They're nice and evenly shaped. If I had to guess by the pointiness of the one on the left, I think I'd probably say that he is right-tusked rather than left-tusked, but I'd have to see the other tusk to be 100% sure. But just like humans, they have right and left hands. Oh, look at those eyelashes. You see there's a little glob of wax in the corner of his eye, and that's just to protect the eye itself, especially on dusty days. Oh, my whole foot's getting involved. There we go, on to the next piece. They make it look so easy, stripping away bits of bark and pulling up branches and roots. In reality, it would be absolutely impossible for us to achieve, yet they make it look effortless. A perfect observation from Fran, who's looking at the elephant's forehead and saying, wow, you can actually see how much more rounded the forehead is on this bull than the elephants you were looking at with Tayla. And absolutely. So for our newer viewers, it's one of the best ways to tell the difference between a male and a female elephant is when they're fully grown. You want to be careful when they're young because the young bulls aren't quite so well developed. But when they're fully grown, the males have a rounded profile. So their forehead has a gentle outward bulge, whereas that of the females is much more angular. Fran is absolutely right. On mature bulls like this one, you can see, look how round that is. It's almost a smooth, perfect curve from the top of his trunk to the top of his head. And, of course, the slightly thicker tusks is usually a good indication. Oh, and he's got a nick in his ear as well. Little hole in his right ear. That will stay with him for life. Although what he might do is actually tear that open. Just in the position that it's in, it could hook something, and he could end up with a slightly larger hole. Just bear with me one moment. Herbie's trying to contact me. Standing by. I'm quite far before I'm on Chelepan. Okay, copy. Thanks very much. Hopefully it'll stick around. Herbert just calling me to tell me. Sorry, I'll explain to you in a moment. No problem. I'm with my daughter-in-law here, Chelepan Road. So Herbert is just calling me to tell me that there is a brand new baby Nyala next to Galago Pan. So he wanted to know how far away I was in case I wanted to come and have a look at it. Which of course I do, but I'm actually quite far away. And the chances of us getting there and it still being there are relatively slim. But there you go. For all of our viewers looking forward to bouncing baby antelope, we're already starting to see them. And of course Nyala don't have a strict breeding season. They breed all year round. But there is a peak at this time of year. So there we go. Back to our lovely Ellie bull. Just wondering whether he'd allow us any closer. Although we still have an awesome view. And just by the way, we will try and find that Nyala, that brand new baby Nyala, on our way home. If we don't manage, then there will definitely be the prospect for the afternoon sunset safari, since Nyala do hang about the same area. Hey, mister. Not concerned. Just seriously enjoying breakfast. I'm not sure if you can hear that bird that's whistling. I'm trying to toss up whether I should tell you what it is or if I should ask you as a quiz to what it might be, but I think a quiz might be a little bit too easy. It's a magpie shrike. It's a long-tailed shrike. I'll just reposition so you can see them. Making such a racket. Here we go. I'm afraid right up against a very bright sky, but there we are. Those are the birds chirping merrily away. Choo-choo-choo. A magpie or a long-tailed shrike. Oh, look at that call and response. How cool is that? One on the right starting, the one on the left finishing. What if it's a male and a female? Could well be. Oh, reversed the order. How cool is that? So obviously not set in their ways. They're like members of an orchestra. Each one knows which part to play. That one's got the boring part. Doo-doo. Doo-doo. Oh. Been abandoned. Perhaps the one felt a little bit left out of this whole chorus. Nope, I'm done. No more singing. Oh, there we go. Much more interesting part. Oh, sorry. You've lost your duet, buddy. Cool. Little insight into the magpie shrikes. Just going to go forward a little bit now. See if we can get another view of our Ellie. Right. I'm going to wait for my chance to sneak past this elephant. Let's head back across to Tayla and find out what her Birmingham boys are up to this time.
They are sleeping, still sleeping. Not much has unfortunately happened. I think what I'm really getting keen to do now is to go and have a look and see what those other lions are doing. Just because I don't know what's going to happen, everybody. I wish that I could tell the future. But this female hasn't shown any interest whatsoever in this male. And he is a very polite lion. He tries to coax her very gently in sort of saying, right, I'm ready to mate again. And then she declines. And it's happened twice now. And he sort of says, okay, that's okay, I'll go back to sleep. So that's why I'm thinking that they're not going to mate again until she says yes. Just because he's a bizarre lion. I don't think I've ever come across a lion like this male that we're looking at. He's very gentle, which is refreshing. Yes, I think we're going to go and investigate and see what the other lions are up to. They're not too far away, so if we hear any commotion, we can come racing back down. But I think that's what we're going to do. Let's quickly go and have a look. Let's go see. We can see quite a bit of vulture activity earlier. So possibly, the vultures managed to get a few scraps. Like I said, though, I'm going to be listening very carefully in the next few moments, just to see if perhaps anything else develops over here, but no one has even lifted their head just yet. Maybe a little bit bumpy for us here. Okay, let's also pick up the pace. Let's quickly go and have a look. Now those other lionesses, they did come through and have a drink of water. So I hope they are not sleeping too. Looking over my shoulder, everybody, just making sure that those lions don't get up as we're driving away, but I doubt it. Okay, let's go through here, find a little gap, and find a gap. We just need to get onto the fire break. Through this little gap here, almost there. Now, Safari Cheesecake, good morning to you. I love your name. That's hysterical. It's fantastic. Now, Safari Cheesecake wants to know, do male and female lions ever groom each other, or allo groom each other? Yes, I've seen it. It does happen. It's not very common, though. And that's what that other male has actually been trying to do. He's actually been trying to reach over and nudge her and give her a lick and hopefully try and coax her into liking him a little bit more, but it seems to be failing. Ah, we've got a lion at the kill. Oh, never mind, she's moving away now. As I said that. Where are you going? What's wrong? They're looking at all the vultures. Lionesses, you can't let a little vulture bother you. They're all sitting quite low. Oh. No, not coming in, not braving it. Oh, I thought we were going to get one come right over. You can see the lionesses just looking through the trees. Ladies, are you scared of these big birds? I doubt it. They all look very full again. So I think you saw them all munching earlier with Jamie. think they're possibly going to go and rest, but they now also seem to be quite reluctant to move away from this carcass because they know that the vultures have been waiting here for an entire day now, and they're getting a bit sick of just waiting. They're definitely building up an appetite. So we will try and sit patiently as well, and possibly one of these lions are going to be, these vultures are going to be brave and are going to come on in. Those ones don't seem to be paying too much attention, a few of them looking over. All white-backed vultures that we can see there. And here are a few contact calls again from the lionesses, but they're moving further away from this carcass. Now I know there seems to be a trend. These lovely ladies seem to also move away from their carcass quite early when there's still quite a bit of meat on it. There is definitely some flesh. There's not a lot left. Hopefully they'll hang around until this afternoon. You can see them just disappearing into the thicket. There's one of the cubs. They're moving far away now. I think if we sit quietly, I might want to reposition though. We may get the vultures coming through. You can hear that. I don't know if you heard that. Calling all the cubs. I'm just looking back over my shoulder, but I can't see any development. I can't hear anything from behind us. Seems to be very quiet. Just because there's one vulture up here that's staring straight down at the lions and the carcass. And now all we need is one. Just need one vulture to make the first move, and then the others will come through. Are you going to be the brave one? Well, the lions have moved out of sight now. I can't see them anymore. So they're probably a good 50, 60 meters away from this carcass, and that's enough time for these vultures to come through, swoop, peck at it for a few seconds, grab a few chunks of meat, and to fly up before the lions would reach them. And I don't know, these females seem to be losing interest in this carcass, so possibly they are moving off. Yeah, they're still moving away from the carcass. Maybe they're going to look for a better shelter. Though there's no sun. I don't think the sun is going to completely eliminate these clouds. I'll be surprised if it does. Come on, vultures, come on. I feel like we need to do like a little cheer song to encourage the vultures this morning. Lots of them here. They're spread out all over. They're looking. They're going, where's everyone gone? Where are those lions gone? Now, looking at these vultures, we're looking at the white-backed vultures. They're massive creatures. Not quite as big as a lappet face, but in this area, they're about this. Well, I suppose them and the white-headed vulture of similar size. Now, David from Napa wants to know how much do these vultures weigh. Now, I'm just going to give you a rough estimate, but I reckon they're anywhere between about 3.5 and 5 kilograms, somewhere around there. They're relatively large, and I know that the lappet-faced vulture can weigh up to about 8 kilograms, which is absolutely massive. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like any of these vultures are braving it and coming down to swarm the carcass and feed on our lovely buffalo. That's in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. But possibly as these lions keep moving further and further away during the morning, they may come down. Now, we haven't had any more action or heard anything else from our love couple, and it's almost that time where I'm going to have to say goodbye to all of you. So I hope you've enjoyed this morning, and I hope you carry on watching for this evening. And Eggsy and I will see you a little bit later for the Sunset Safari.